right away. I'm Robert Porter. I'm the Brown County Chair of the Republican Party of Brown County, and we are proud to have each of you here because you are expressing by your presence your interest in being an informed voter and casting that informed vote and helping your fellow voters to, if they have not been here, by maybe your being here, you can help them understand who the candidates are, what they stand for, and help get them to the polls as well. This time I want to call Harold Hogan to the podium for our invocation. If you'll please stand.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you tonight for this assembled gathering tonight, Father. We just thank you for the incumbents, the candidates, and their families. And Father, we just ask tonight that you would just order our steps. Father, just direct us and give us more wisdom. Give us more courage, Father. And we just ask that you just bless Brown County as a whole. And Father, please bless our country that stands in need, Father. Have mercy on us tonight, Father. And the scripture says that they know not what they do. And Father, we just ask that you would give Congress some insight and direction, Father, to lead us back to you. We ask these blessings tonight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Harold. Harold is the incumbent Justice of the Peace for Precinct 2. We'll recognize him here in a minute. Okay, for the national anthem, Jill Goodwin, are you in the building? I don't want to have to sing it myself. Jill Goodwin? I don't see a response from Jill Goodwin. It's me? Oh my gosh, I beg your forgiveness. I'll back away from the mic. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's great flame, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? While you're standing, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States, the flag of the United States of America, and then we will follow that with a pledge to the Texas flag. Now, that'll be a test for some of you, but I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Okay, you may be seated. If we have Jill later, we'll make her come up here and sing a solo of the national anthem. Okay, it's my opportunity now to recognize the uncontested candidates that will be on the ballot here in the primary and then, of course, on March 1st. So as I call your names, would you stand and remain standing, and we'll give one round of applause to each of them. Well, number one's Robert Porter, that's me. I'm the county chair of the Republican Party of Brown County. In the interest of time, let's just do one round of applause. So, okay, Justice Stacy Trotter, incumbent, 11th Court of Appeals, Place 3. Is Stacy in the building? If not, we wanted to recognize him. Judge Sam Moss, incumbent, County Court at Law. Sam, raise your hand there. Okay. Jennifer Broughton, candidate for county attorney for the unexpired term. Jennifer. Cheryl Jones, incumbent district clerk. Cheryl. Sharon Ferguson, incumbent county clerk. Cheryl. Ann Carpoon, incumbent county treasurer. Don King, incumbent county surveyor. Not sure Don made it tonight. Doug Hurt, Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. There you are, over here. And Harold Hogan, incumbent Justice of the Peace Precinct 2. Let's give a strong round of applause for each of these people. I left one more out that I wrote in. I don't know whether Dylan Sanders is here on behalf of Congressman August Pfluger. Are you here, Dylan? Right there, Dylan. August Pfluger could not. Thank you for representing Congressman Pfluger in our Congressional House District 11. August sends his regrets that he could not be here tonight. In this political season, there are many challenges to our schedules, and you can't be every place at once, so he has other engagements but wanted to have a representative from his office here. So we thank you, Dylan. And that is your opportunity while you're here. Dylan will be here after the event, and so seek him out. If you have questions for August's office, direct those to Dylan, please. I'm sure you've got a name badge on, don't you, Dylan? Okay, good deal. We'll seek him out. Okay, thank you very much. We want to thank each of these incumbents for the service they have provided to our county and their willingness to continue to serve us. That is many times a thankless job. Granted, they get paid for it, but there are a lot of challenges, and they address those very effectively, and we're proud of our leadership in our county government. So thank each of you. I also want to thank Victory Life Church. They are donating the water that you're drinking. They also have a coffee bar as a fundraiser, and so as you have an opportunity, if you'd like a cup of coffee, please support them. And they are offering this facility to us, and it's a beautiful facility. We've used it a number of times. Let's give them a big round of applause. It's an exceptional complex, and they've been, as I said before, very generous to offer it to us free of charge. And we've used it several times over the years, and we've become rather spoiled, and we thank you again. We are, in the interest of time, so we can get through all of our candidates and all of the questions that we have tonight, we're not going to have a break partway through and then have to gather all y'all back up. It might be hard to do. So if you have a need of a restroom, they're out that door, over to the hallway, and down to your left. Sneak out quietly, and you'll be unnoticed probably. Each of the candidates, we're inviting them to be available to visit with each of you after the forum. We've made tables available for each of them. They've got their candidate literature and yard signs, push cards, whatever they brought with them. But most importantly, it's your opportunity to meet them face to face. And if you have a specific question, They will be there to answer that for you. The tables will be displaying their campaign materials, yard signs, and so forth. I want to thank for security. Troy Henderson, our constable, Precinct 2, arranged for the security for tonight, and that is represented by the Brown County Sheriff's Department, headed by Sheriff Vance Hill, City of Brownwood, Chief Kading, and the City of Early, Chief David Mercer, for providing the security tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. This time, I would like, and I just got a text, at this time, I'm going to ask each of you to silence your phones, including me. That way you don't get a phone call and you're scrambling in your purse or your coat pocket. And I'm glad, I had a note here, but I literally did just get a text. That prompted me to make sure that I did get that done. So silence those, please. As we pursue the forum tonight, please exercise respect. Allow the candidates to speak without interruption. We've tried to design this where we've got questions that are pertinent to each race and to each candidate. Some are general for all of the candidates, and they're designed to be directed for things that are important to us as voters and to our county. We are not in attack mode tonight. We're not trying to embarrass anybody, but we have directed a group of questions, or qualified a group of questions that we think address the primary issues to our county and to our state rep and senator. So if you're prone to applaud or jeer, please refrain from doing that and exercise that decorum. Thank you. Also want to thank brownwoodnews.com for providing the live stream video. They are doing that tonight, and so for those that are not able to attend, they can view this forum live. It will also be posted on brownwoodnews.com. If people are not able to see it tonight, then they can access it at a later time. We're also doing that. Amy Seymour Gill, she is doing the same thing for live streaming for the Brown County Republican Facebook page. There again, there's two ways to access it, brownwoodnews.com or the Brown County Republican Party Facebook page, and both will have those archived after the event. Also, I want to thank one more person, Joyce Leidig, longtime volunteer in the Republican Party of Brown County. She moved to Belton to be closer to her family, but she's just as active as she lived right here. I've used her for untold hours in sending all of the notifications to all of the candidates, the agendas, anything regarding the candidate communications. Joyce Leidig, who now lives in Belton, I've worn her out talking to her daily, emails, texts, phone calls, and so I want to give a special thanks to Joyce Leidig. At this time, I'm going to introduce our panel moderator, J.R. Williams, who is no stranger to most of you. He is on the morning talk radio, KXYL, every morning, and he will be asking the questions and giving you the guidelines for the forum, and so we're thankful to have J.R. take care of that responsibility for us. J.R.?
Okay, here's the order of things. Let me tell you this real quick first, and I'll be fast. But if you're not used to coming up here like I'm not, this little podium thing, I can give you all the reasons in the world to be glad there's a podium here. I like a solid one myself, but this one's glass, and the reason for that's this. In 1972, I had to make a speech in a speech class. And the lady had already told me that you use your hands too much when you talk. It's a distraction, and you shouldn't do that when you're making a speech. And she was right. I wasn't going to argue with the teacher, my gosh, but I had that habit, and I could not do it. And so she told me that. So the final came up, and I had to make that little final deal that I was hoping would push me up into the low B's maybe if everything went great. And I was not going to get points taken off for waving my hands. So I put my hands in my pocket the whole time to not lose any points. In 1972, the best outfit I had was blue and gold bell bottoms. They would these set low because there's something pushing down on them. These set on my hip because that's the way they were designed. And I had a white belt and white shoes and some kind of floral kind of shirt. And I was ready to go. Well, I learned a lesson that I hadn't forgot to this day, and it's the reason why all the times through the years I've got to speak, you'd never see me get away from the podium. And that is this. If you make a speech and you do your hands just like this the whole time, if you don't lock your zipper, it'll go on down to the bottom. And people were laughing at unfunny parts of that speech. So a podium can be your friend. So when you come up here, if you're not used to it, just hold on tight and give us the answer to your question. The races, we're going to go with the JPs first, then commissioners, and then the judge, county judge, and then the state offices. When you're up here, you have a 3 minutes for your opening statement. There's a big clock right back there that you can see real easy. And then when you give an answer to the question, you have 1 minute. If there is a reason for a rebuttal, which means in your answer you may have called out your opponent or some kind of deal like that, where I think the other person should have a chance to rebut that, then you'll get a 30-second rebuttal. So when you're up here giving your speech, the first sound you'll hear when you've got 30 seconds left is fairly peaceful little sound. When your time's up, you're going to hear pretty clear. You need to move on and let the next guy come up, or lady, okay? So that's the way that's the way the rules are kind of going to go. And so first we need the JP, Brian Thompson, and the JP 3, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah, the JPs, first two are the JPs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brian is, he's going to come up. Brian slipped in the ice and hurt his back, but we thought he was going to stay down there, but he's going to come up here to the podium. Okay. And Brian Edwards, if you're in this race, we need you to come up right now. Here he comes. Okay, just have a seat and we'll call you up there one time.
You ready for me?
Just a second, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go first with your opening statement. Since you're there.
And before you start my time, I'd like to say I did fall on the ice. I was going to try to get Sam Moss he agreed to give my 3-minute speech for me on my bio, but I thought it was important to my career to show up here in front of you folks. So I may not be here to stick it out at the end. After we're done, I may be gone back home to the recliner, but you know why. So, all right. I am Judge Brian Thompson, incumbent Precinct 3 judge. I grew up in May, Texas from the 5th grade through high school. I'm currently married to Loretta Thompson. We have 5 kids. 3 of them are here. We have 9 grandchildren. 2 of those are here. I started my law enforcement career in 1991 by being hired as a jailer in Bell County because I looked for a career I could start. I was hired over the phone by Sheriff Bill Donahue in 1993, moved back to Brownwood, started in the jail. I went to the police academy that was held here by Tarleton State University. I graduated valedictorian of my class in 1994, and then later in 94 I was put on patrol. A few years later I was moved up to investigations, and then to sergeant over investigations. I did 1,000 investigations around the county, traveled many roads at night with no one there but me, as all the deputies know. Ran for office in 2006 and won, and I've been there for 15 years, since 2007. I take pride in my job. I try to treat people equal, fair. I'm dependable. Some of the things that we do, we deal with inquest, ordering autopsies, important part of our job. We oversee thousands of Class C citations. We sign search warrants, arrest warrants, misdemeanors or felonies. We hear civil cases up to was $10,000 of value, now it's $20,000 of value. We have hearings on DL suspensions, commercial DLs, CD, if occupational driver license. We used to do parent contributing and failed to attend school. Just a lot to a JP's office. People don't realize what all we actually do. I've been involved in the community over the years. I coached, of course, with my 3 girls. It was youth girls sports, but I did that for 15 years. I've been a member of the Early Church of Christ for over 25 years. And I did serve on the board at the Brown County Youth Fair, and I did help at the rodeo and at the youth fair over the years. And in closing, I would just like to say that I feel like I'm the most experienced for this job. I've been on it for 15 years. I feel like I do a good job. I want to continue to do a good job. I appreciate the support that I've had over the years, and I would just like to ask for your vote and continue the support that I've had. Thank you.
Next will be Brian Edwards.
I'm the other Brian. I have never worked in this environment before in regard to politics. Before, I started out as a bio major once upon a time, and then I became a geologist. So I had an interesting background and career, kind of moved into different directions as I was led. It's an amazing journey. I was supposed to be in Denver. So I look around and I thank God I'm not in Denver to this day, if anyone's from Denver. I love the state, it's beautiful. Me and my wife got married there, actually in Garden of the Gods. It was amazing. But felt called to Texas. And when I got here, I knew why. Ended up in Midland for about, it seems like forever, 1981. I was in the oil field, I was a geologist. And then after that, I felt changed directions. For me, what turned me in a different direction was God. Turned my life around, got my attention, and redirected me to do something I never thought I'd ever do. And I said, God, I will never do that. Don't ever tell him that. That's not a good thing to say. So I ended up doing counseling. And it was my career working at medical hospitals. I was a nurse's aide, ended up in physical therapy in Middle Memorial. And then after that, worked at Lee Regional and became a therapist working with individuals, family, kids, everything. Had an amazing redirection and started working in criminal justice. Started at Pyote, which was an eye-opener for me because I came out of a really big city with a lot of big problems, and I came to Midland to get away from it all. And sure enough, Midland's gotten pretty big now, and it's got its own set of problems. But in one way or another, I wanted to be part of the solution. Whatever I was supposed to do, whatever I'm supposed to do next, and I think this might be it, we'll see. But 7 years in criminal justice, worked in Pyote with gang members, and then after that, worked with pretrial in Hobbs, and then did work with probation in Midland. And I wasn't sure if I can make an impact, with that kind of environment, but never say never, because what was amazing to me was everybody needs hope. Everyone needs to know that today is a new day to start over. And so my encouragement in that is to help them realize every day is a new day, just like mine was. Being that said, in this environment too, I want to do the same thing here. I felt called to Brownwood, and I've said to people, I got here as soon as I could. And I'm glad to be here. We felt the peace once we got here, me and my wife, and settled in. Got some land and started working like a farmer. Another career direction. But I felt I wanted to be part of this community and make a difference and change and make it what America used to be. I want to come back to the place where we feel connected again with one another and make community number one. And if there's any way I can help make that possible, I'm going to. Thank you.
Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards. Okay. Go ahead and you can go first, and we can minimize his leaps back and forth. The first question for y'all is, what are the duties of a justice of the peace?
Oh, asking me? Quite a few. Seeing cases, small cases with tickets, dealing with evictions and landlord issues, dealing with deaths and trying to determine if it was suspicious or not, That was a big transition for me. I worked in 2 ERs. It's a difficult environment to be in, to have to see life and death every day. But I believe God has helped me prepare for anything.
Okay, Brian, same question for you. The duties of a justice of the peace.
Well, I went over some of the deals we deal with in my opening speech, but important thing to me is search warrants, arrest warrants. You got to have the knowledge of knowing when you can sign that and when you shouldn't. I have some that I have not signed, but you're talking about going into someone's home or removing someone from their home. You need the knowledge to know what you're doing, or you can get yourself and the county in trouble. Of course, we do death inquests. That's very important to me. I want to get it right. I don't want to send a body off that don't need to be sent. But then we handle misdemeanors. We handle civil suits. We handle the occupational driver license, the DL suspensions. We handle magistration in jail. We do protective orders whenever they're asked for on an emergency protective order after an arrest. We do, there's a list of, we can go on and on of what we do at the JP office.
Okay, you want to stay and just go
Yeah,
next?
that's fine.
Okay, the next question is, you think the background in law enforcement is needed for the job from justice of the peace? Why or why not?
I think law enforcement or being an attorney does help with the job. Throughout the state, there is attorneys that are justice of the peace, and there's also a lot of ex-law enforcement that's justice of the peace. To me, if you know half of what you're doing when you go into the office, it makes it a little easier to learn. Because if you've been in law enforcement, you know the laws. When you deal with the Class C misdemeanors, you know about the search and seizure laws when you're signing warrants. It helps you transition into that. They don't teach you near enough at a school what you need to know. And if you already know that side of it, it definitely helps being in law enforcement. Just like it would if you were a civil attorney and came into it, you would be one up on whoever else if you had that experience because of the fact you know the civil law. But you only get 20 hours a year for training, so you need to know what you're doing. Thank you.
Okay. The next question. Oh, you answered that question. That's the same question for you. Background in law enforcement is needed for the job. Why or why not?
I think any experience you have is always beneficial. What I've found in my career over time is every place I've worked has prepared me for the next place I was brought. It's amazing. So though that's true, my criminal justice background will help. And the other fact, my mother told me I should have been a lawyer when I was growing up. I didn't choose that career, but I have that ability. Secondly, I actually learned very quickly, and there's 80 hours of training in this thing. So I believe I will pick up very quickly, using the experience and knowledge I've had in the past and use it in this career like I have with others.
All right, thank you. The last question. Do you believe being a JP is a full-time position? If not, do you have time to devote to the office?
I think it can be a full-time job, depending on how things go every week, one day at a time, especially now. Things are very difficult and challenging. And yes, I would make time. If I'm going to do this and I get voted in, I've gained your trust, I'll give it my full focus. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Brian, question for you. Same question. Is the JP a full-time position? If not, do you have the time to devote to the office?
I think it's a full-time position because you're on call 24/7. Like right now, while I'm down with my back, if I get a call to a death call, I need to go. Of course, we do cover for each other if one of us is sick or out of town and having problems. But if we're on a salary, we do not get paid overtime. We may be out. I had about 6 or 7 deaths since the first of the year that I've been out on. Those don't usually happen in the daytime. They're always in the middle of the night. So none of the JPs have ever been at the courthouse for 40 hours a week because you go to the jail some mornings, sometimes twice a week, spend an hour to 2 over there, and you may be out on a death call for 2 or 3 hours. At night, you may be out for 30 minutes, but by the time you leave your house, go to a call, get back, you can't just go right back to sleep because you just seen something that's traumatic, so it takes you a little while to wind down. Thank you.
All right. Okay, now closing statements. You want to go ahead and make that while you're there?
Yeah, I will.
Well, you have 1 minute for a closing comment.
I'm glad I showed up tonight to get this, my words out. I just feel the experience is the most important thing for the job. You know, when I started my career in 1991, that's what I was looking for, was a career. My career's been here serving Brown County since 1993, on the streets, doing investigations, and now as a judge. You know, I'm on a path that I want to stay on to reach my full potential and goals. I want to be, I don't want someone to just come in here and he seems like a real nice guy, but say, I want to run for JP, and, you know, this is what I worked for my life here in Brown County, and I appreciate the support, and I'm just praying and hoping that I'll have that continued support. And I see Mr. and Mrs. Allen. I got 7 seconds, 2 very inspirational people growing up at May ISD. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards. 60-second closing comment.
I believe I bring a fresh approach. I think every job I've done, I've given my heart to it, and I believe I've done a good job according to my supervisors and people that have told me. Not that I'm looking for that, but I want to do the best I can every day I've got left till I'm out of here. I want to graduate well. I want to use the rest of my time to be devoted to why I'm here. Whatever job I take, whatever job I'm given, I'm going to do the best I can with the abilities, the talents, the knowledge, the experience that I've had over the years, and apply it here. I appreciate that experience is good in the field, but I've learned from all the careers I've had that God has brought me to, it's all about what you trust and who you trust. And I believe that I also would lean on people that have knowledge and experience and hope that I would get their help, so until I catch up to speed to the job. It wouldn't take me long, but I have 4 years to figure that out. All I can say is I'm going to bring the best of me to it if you vote for me in. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Now we need the candidates for Justice's Peace Precinct 4. Please come to the stage. Okay, the format will be the same. You have the same questions, but first let's get your opening comments or statements. So first up, we will go with Rusty. You're first.
My name's Rusty Howell, and I grew up in West Texas, a small town called Plains, Texas. And I graduated from Levelland High School, went on to do a year of college. Then right after that, I went ahead and joined the United States Air Force, where I spent 10 years serving this great country. I was all over the world, and just a wonderful experience, because that gave me what I know in my heart about the love for this country. So I also have a Bachelor's of Science degree in engineering. I got that from Wayland Baptist University. Some highlights of my life: on November 5th of 1989, a big event happened to Rusty. I gave my heart to Jesus Christ. And I have never been the same since then. I'm so thankful. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. He's still working on me. After that, shortly after that, I got to meet my beautiful bride, Melanie, who's here tonight. And we've been married for 30 years. And she has just been my great supporter. We have 5 adult children. We've got 4 grandchildren. And we just found out we've got 2 baking in the oven. So we're excited about that, and we are absolutely blessed. And I got to tell you, you know, with this COVID that came about, there was a lot of stuff that went on, and we didn't know when this first launched, what was going on. And I don't know about you guys, but Hollywood came into play about the worst case scenario. But I was listening to our political representatives on C-SPAN, and all I heard was this political banter back and forth. And so I cried out to God, something needs to happen. I was like a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. And God told me, he goes, well, I need you to look in the mirror and you need to do something about it. He took me to Jeremiah chapter 2 where he said, Rusty, you guys have defiled this land and you've done that because you've placed leaders over you that don't even know me, judges that don't know me, leaders that transgressed. And it really pricked my heart. And I saw that our constitutional rights were being violated. And I just couldn't stand by and watch our country just fall apart. And so I was praying about it and said, God, if you want me in it, I just need confirmation. And he walked that out. So what I'm bringing is years of experience in leadership with the military and a heart and a passion for what's doing right for we the people. Because this country is owned by we the people, and we give government its rights through the Constitution, which is trying to be taken away from us. So I'm here to protect those rights for you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Ted Perez, 3-minute opening statement.
See if I can read this and do a fairly decent job. I am Judge Ted Perez. I am the incumbent Justice of the Peace for Precinct 4. I was selected from a field of 5 candidates by the Brown County Commissioners Court as the best qualified candidate to replace Judge Jim Kavanaugh when he retired at the end of June. I will have been a judge for 18 months at the end of his term in December of this year. I was sworn into office last June. I have presided and ruled over numerous civil debt cases, small claims cases, inquests. I've signed several arrest warrant applications and have magistrated numerous arrestees at the Brown County Jail. I have been in public service for over 45 years. I started my career as a police officer with the Lubbock Police Department in 1975. After serving with the department for 31 years and achieving the rank of sergeant, I retired and my wife and I moved back to Brown County in 2006 and have lived in Precinct 4 since then. I had lived in Brownwood in 1975 and always wanted to return after retiring. Our oldest son was born here in Brownwood. During my time with the Lubbock Police Department, I was assigned to a patrol division as a patrol officer, field training officer, and patrol sergeant. I've also been in the administrative division as a crime prevention unit supervisor and the internal affairs supervisor. I have served as a reserve officer with the Brownwood Police Department, and prior to taking office, I was a Brown County deputy for courthouse security. I have over 2,700 training hours, and I have attended 2 judge schools and will attend a 3rd at the end of March. I graduated high school from Friendship High School in Wolford and attended Texas Tech before beginning my public service career. My wife is a retired LVN. We have 4 adult children, 13 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. My reason for seeking this office is to continue the important work that Judge Kavanaugh and the Brown County Commissioners Court entrusted in me. I hope that I can continue to do so. It is my belief that my training as a police officer, patrol sergeant, and administrative sergeant in both crime prevention and the internal affairs unit, being bilingual in Spanish, along with my current 7 months as a judge, qualify me as the best choice to be the elected Justice of the Peace for Precinct 4. My goal is to continue serving the citizens of Precinct 4 as the elected Justice of the Peace, and my promise to you is to serve you as an effective and fair judge. I believe my 40-plus years in law enforcement and as the incumbent judge in Precinct 4 qualify me as the best choice to continue serving Precinct 4. In closing, please look at the ballot. Please look closely at the ballot when you vote. I drew the number 3rd position on the ballot, but I am the number 1 choice. Thank you.
Okay, next, Andre Smoot.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank Victory Life Church for having us out here again in the Brownwood Republican Party. My name is Andre Smoot, better known as Dre Smoot. My family originated from Brown County. My grandfather was born in Crosscut, there in Precinct 4. Grew up in San Antonio, would originally go to college in Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls. That's where I met my wife of 15 years, Martha Smoot, who's seated over there. She's also in criminal justice as a probation officer. We've got twin boys that are 5 and a daughter that is 4 years old, 11 months apart, almost like triplets. That's why they're not here today. I got a bug of wanting to get into law enforcement because my dad is a retired state trooper of 23 years. I started off in the jail, would work my way to a jail sergeant. From there, I started the police academy. When I graduated, I went to Bangs Police Department. While working there, I was known for traffic enforcement and drug interdiction. And before I left there, I did earn an award of Officer of the Year for the long hours that we work over for the Bangs PD. Went to Early Police Department for 4.5 years. While there, I earned Officer of the Year, a Senate proclamation from Senator Don Buckingham. I also got the department a recognition letter from U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, and I was awarded the Public Servant of the Year from the Early Chamber of Commerce. I'm now back with the Sheriff's Department for 3 years, and I am a sergeant in the Patrol Division. Throughout my career, I've worked hand in hand with Justice of the Peace, anywhere from the magistrate process in the jail to death scenes. I've been looking for another way to serve my community, and I believe this is the best way that I can do that. While working for the Sheriff's Office, I've worked with environmental deputy. One focus for me as a JP would be to work more in conjunction with that division to help expedite and stay current with the property abatement and abandoned property issues. At the end of the day, I think it's important for the voters of Precinct 4 to pick a candidate who is committed to being impartial and available full-time. Some takeaways from my career are a few quotes that have been said about me. Smoot has a reputation as being very diligent at his work. Smoot's composure and professionalism under pressure is worthy of recognition by the Texas Senate.
All right, thank you. Okay, next, H.U. Thomas, opening statement, please.
Well, I was going to do something a little different because all of my qualifications are posted online at Brownwood News, my Facebook page. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. My grandparents were born in Brown County in the early 1800s over by May out on a farm. And then my dad was born here in 1928. He left after serving in the Air Force and went out to Odessa for work. And that's where I was originally born and raised, in the West Texas area. I went to work out of high school in the oil fields. And then I got smart and got a real job. I'd always been having a heart for helping people. So I went into law enforcement with that attitude. Went to the academy. I started in 1981 in Odessa. Worked my way up the ladder to captain over criminal investigations. And then I left there as chief of police in Hutto, and then came back to Brownwood for 5 years, but landed back here. I'd been coming here since I was a baby. I think I've been told people already kind of know who they're going to vote for when you get here. So I want to change some of the minds of some of those voters, but try to get the minds of the ones that hadn't decided yet by letting you know about who I am. You got to let people know that you care and not what you know so that they know that you care. Law enforcement, when I taught in the academies, I've taught in 3 different academies, even in Austin. Everybody gets into law enforcement, the number one answer, the right answer is to help people. That's the same reason I'm running for JP. I retired from Brownwood in 18, but I miss it. And this is the best way I know I can get back in and help people. I live here in Brown County. And I think you should decide, not the commissioners who's going to be JP. I believe I'm the best qualified. I had 5,800 training hours and 2,800 higher education hours. I spent 5.5 years in Odessa in homicide. I've overseen, of the 27 years of my 36-year career, I've either investigator or overseen investigations, including administrative investigation. If someone comes to my court, even if I don't have jurisdiction, they need help, I'm going to guide them to the right place because I think that's the right thing to do. I am fair and objective, and I'm putting the Constitution first when it comes to people. And I am justice with integrity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the first question is the same question we asked the last group, but we'll start with Ted Perez. The first question is, what are the duties of a justice of the peace? And you have 60 seconds on this one.
Is to hear cases, small claims cases that are, the limit is $20,000. Debt claim cases, death inquests, or the death investigations, magistrate arrestees that have been incarcerated in the jail, and also to help people, to let them know that we are there to help them in any way that we can. Now, in any case, there's always going to be a winner and a loser. So as a justice, you have to pick, you have to decide, you have to listen to the facts, you have to talk to them and find out exactly where they stand, what they say and what they do, and then make hopefully an intelligent decision and also the right decision. I am impartial. I do not take sides in any case whatsoever. Thank you.
Okay, Andre? The same question. What are the duties of a justice of the peace?
I've actually created a nice flyer that's out there on the table where I'm at, but it gives you a breakdown of different duties that JPs do. Everything that you've heard here and others say is correct. They also do magistrate processes for incarcerated inmates. Everybody's got their set day that they go each morning to set bonds for people who have been jailed. There's a lot of different other things, but I do have a flyer out there that y'all can look at that's got the duties for JP.
All right, thank you. Okay, HQ, same question for you. The duties of a justice of the peace.
One of the main things when he talked about setting bond or bail is being fair. Plus, you have to read on warrantless arrest probable cause statements that officers write. Make sure that probable cause exists to make that arrest. That's the first decision you have to make before you even set bail. Thompson talked about, and others, signing arrest warrants and search warrants. Again, you have to know probable cause. I know it because I teach it at Howard Payne, and I also know it because I've written hundreds of arrest warrants and hundreds of search warrants. So I know what probable cause is. You have the Class C misdemeanors you preside over, the traffic, the driver's license, landlord-tenant disputes, civil cases up to $20,000, which is what we call small claims or people's court. And you may even hear truancy cases at times in unincorporated cities. So that's a lot, but not all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Rusty, same question, the duties of a justice of the peace.
Well, again, I repeat the same thing, Class C misdemeanors, you've got the disputes between tenants and landlords, civil disputes, truancy, inquiries. Didn't hear anybody say, by the way, we can marry people, but we can. So that's one thing. But I think in all of this, and especially with what's going on in our world, we've been at a place we've never been before. I think we need to have some leaders that take a look at the entire situation, both sides, and objectively, compassionately evaluate it. And even though you know, we heard that there's a winner and a loser. I don't know. What about having a common ground? Maybe there's a win-win for both and explore something a little bit different. But again, I think bringing compassion to whatever the situation is, but gather all the information and make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start this time with Andre. The next question is, do you think a background in law enforcement is needed for the job for justice of the peace? Why or why not?
I believe a background for law enforcement is definitely needed here. It will assist you when you come into this job to do this job. I think it's one more step to make you be more efficient at the job without having to have so much training. They provide training for you when you do get in, and it's always good to have continuing education throughout your career. But yes, having a law enforcement background is definitely needed for this position, I feel like. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next will be HQ Thomas. Same question. Is a law enforcement background important for the job? Why or why not?
I really do believe law enforcement is a great background becoming justice of the peace. Not only have you worked diligently with them and for them, it's just almost, common to have that background, or attorneys at times as spoken, but also having worked homicide, these death inquests are very important. You don't want to ever miss one and not do an autopsy, because if you do, you're way behind trying to get the right person if it was a homicide. Also in family violence, those protective orders are very important, and I'm very passionate about helping victims of domestic violence. But the background is important. I have a bachelor's degree in criminology from the University of Texas Permian Basin, and I also attended the FBI National Academy, where we were taught leadership and how to get people to move in certain directions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Rusty, same question for you. A background in law enforcement, is it needed for the job? Why or why not?
I don't think it's necessary, because if it was, it should have been written in the requirements. But I do believe that having experience and communicating with people is a very important thing. And my background in being able to assess an environment and gather all the data and really come up and make an intelligent decision about the situation. Spent my whole life doing that in the military and through my professional career. One thing that I believe I bring to the table is I'm not trained like these gentlemen, and I so respect what they've gone through, because they've seen some things, done some things. But what I bring is a fresh perspective about what's right for the people and what's right for both parties, but come up with a really good solution that would hopefully be a win-win in that. But if not, you make the tough decisions. That's what I bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ted, same question for you. You think a background in law enforcement is needed for the job? If so, why or why not?
While it's not necessary under the Constitution, it is an asset because it does help us. The law enforcement experience helps train your mind in how to look for things, how to look at things, and to be impartial in whatever decision that you make, whether it's to arrest somebody or not to arrest. The same thing applies with the cases that we handle on a daily basis. You have to look at that. You have to show compassion. You have to show sympathy. And you have to do what's right, though. Because the law is very, very black and white. But having that background does help you to go around it at times and show more compassion than maybe somebody may want or need. But the important thing is, as far as law enforcement is concerned, the experience that we've had over the years, it is an asset. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, the last question, we'll start with HQ. Do you believe a JP is a full-time position? If not, do you have the time to devote to the office?
I certainly do believe it's a full-time position. I think it is 24-hour call, 24/7. If you're in town, you ought to go. You have to go, not just to death scenes, but you need to be available to sign officers' search warrants, arrest warrants when they're needed. So it's an ever-evolving thing. Having been in law enforcement and been on 24-hour calls, 24-hour call for many, many years, it's nothing new to me. And I think we ought to be available at all times, anytime you're in the county, and my phone's always on, I guarantee you. I'm going to cut it short and yield the time.
All right, thank you. Okay, next, Rusty. Same question. Do you believe the JP position is a full-time position? If not, why or why not? Yeah.
It's definitely a full-time job. You're on call 24/7, and you got to be able to respond. And yes, I will absolutely make myself available 24/7 to respond to the needs as required. And again, all of this is a team effort. All this doesn't rest on one individual. I mean, it's literally the other JPs, the courthouse, everybody working together to make a difference in our community. So that's all I got to say, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Perez, you're next. You can go up, you're already up there. My position, if so, why or why not?
Yes, I do believe it is a full-time position. I actually have that as a campaign slogan on my campaign billboards over there, full-time. Just to reiterate what Judge Thompson said, you don't get full training when you go to judge school. I believe if you're not hearing cases at the courthouse, you should be training or studying for the case that you might have next week. So yes, I do believe it is a full-time position, and if you're not handling a case, you can always train while you're at the courthouse working. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ted, same question. Do you believe the JP is a full-time position? If so, why or why not? And devoted to the office, full-time spot.
It is a full-time position, and it's a 24-hour a day, 40-hour week, including weekends. So you're always on call. When you're not hearing cases, even when you're hearing cases, a lot of times get a call that we have to go on an inquest, and you have to go. You can recess the cases being heard if everybody's in agreement, but it is full-time. There's no two ways about it, 24/7. Dispatch has got our phone numbers at home, both mine and my wife's, in case I don't hear mine. And when we get that call, we go. We don't hold back. We don't hesitate. We do what needs to be done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now closing comment or statement. We'll start off at the top with Rusty.
Again, this election is so important. After the 2020 election, you almost have to ask, does my vote really count? Well, I got to tell you, with leadership and not politics at the helm, I think things can turn around. As a matter of fact, I believe the way we win our country back during this election cycle is at one county at a time. As we get rid of the politics, because politics, let's be real, it got us in this mess. I don't think it's going to be the solution on getting us out. It's going to be the hearts of the people that rise up and understand. Pass the offering plate. Yeah, two of them. Go ahead. Let's make the rounds.
Somewhere up there.
So, again, I'm asking for your vote. I want to bring leadership and our Constitution back to Brown County, that we, the people, can rest assured that we know this county is safe and secure and understands our rights as citizens. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ted, closing statement, 60 seconds.
I just want to say thank y'all for having us here tonight. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be able to visit with y'all about this important race. I do ask for your support and your vote. And like I said earlier, I may be number 3 on the ballot, but I am number 1 as far as the choices are concerned. I believe that my experience, not just in law enforcement, but as a judge that I've been doing the work as a judge for the last 7 months. And at the end of his term, Judge Kavanaugh's term, it'll be 18 months total. Now, what's kind of funny is that about 5 years ago, Jim had asked me, do you ever want to be a JP? At that time, I said, not just no, but no. But then when he decided to retire, the opportunity came up, and I jumped on it, and I'm very, very glad and proud to take his place.
All right, thank you. Okay, closing statement, HQ.
Well, I too want to thank for everybody that put this on, but I also want to say that I had looked into, I've never been in a political office. I've always been in an environment where you got promoted or appointed to a job. So this is new to me, and I'm learning as I go, and I have met some fantastic people in Precinct 4 as I go around. So I applaud this county, but I've met fantastic people everywhere here. I also want to say that I too had been in conversations with Jim Kavanaugh about running way before he decided to retire. That was kind of unexpected, but I was waiting for him to retire at the end of his term. I would never have run against him, but he's offered me all kinds of insight as I move into. He's already given me all the handbooks. So I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Those are the candidates for JC Precinct for Justice of the Peace. Okay, thank y'all. You didn't get to it? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you did. I thought you stayed up there. My bad.
That was payback, I guess. Sorry again. I just have to say thank you again for having us out here. I may not have as much years on the force as these two gentlemen over here, but I will say that I have been awarded and commendated on quite a bit during my 8 years on the police force. I believe that I'm the correct candidate for this job, and I am a proven public servant that has the knowledge and experience to start day one. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There we go. We're done. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. Okay, now we get to Commissioner's race for Precinct 2, Bo Allen, Jeff Hoskinson, and Joel Kelton, if y'all would come up on the stage. Okay, now we'll have the opening statements for the Commissioner's race in Precinct 2. We'll start off, Bo Allen, you can go first with your opening statement.
Wow, that's really bright.
You get more than a minute for that, though. Where'd my guy go?
I got 3 minutes.
There you go.
There's plenty of time there. Yeah. I'm Bo Allen, Bo Emery Allen. Some of y'all know my mom and dad over here, Bo G and Pat Allen, and my wife, Carla. Our family's been here in Brown County since the late 1800s. My mom and dad went to school at May. My granddad went to school at May. We've been in the area. Brownwood's really near and dear to our hearts. All my kids graduated from May. I've been a part of the May community in Brown County all my life, practically. Our family farm that we settled on in the 1800s, my family did, crosses over into Comanche County. So it depends on which side of the pasture we were living on, whether we actually lived in Brown County or Comanche County. But been in Comanche County for many, many years now, or in Brown County, sorry. And I've been serving on the school board out at May since 1987. I just graduated from high school. No, not really, but anyway, I've been there 35 years. and we've done some amazing things there. Really happy with what's going on at the school now. I've also been a part of the May Volunteer Fire Department for 40 years. I've served as the chief for the last 11, 12 years. When Joel became commissioner, I became the fire chief, so I guess that was just the next progression. But anyway, we've done lots of amazing things there. I have a heart for this county, for our communities, for Precinct 2. I have a desire to serve, and at this time, I just feel like that it's best for me to move forward into the Commissioner's Court. I hope that I get y'all's support, and I know this sounds like I'm wrapping up. I guess I get to do that later, right?
Use your time how you want to,
Okay,
sir.
well, that's good. But anyway, love you guys. Thank y'all so much for having us. Thank God that we live in Brown County, where we have a conservative Commissioner's Court. No matter who you pick, we got good guys here, but I think I'm the best choice. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you. Okay, Jeff, you can go next with your opening statement, please.
These guys are both older than me. I should have went last. I graduated at May High School as well in 1981. I've lived in Brown County for about 43 years. After I graduated high school, I worked in the oil field for a short period of time. After that, I run a backhoe for a guy for about 6 months and decided I wanted to buy one of my own, so I did. It was a tractor that wasn't in real good shape. I had to weld a couple of gears together to make it work, and got it working, and didn't have a trailer, and I worked over at the lake area for probably 4 years solid and never left there. And to this day, I have about 18 pieces of heavy equipment, and that's what I've done most of my life now. I've built a few houses, involved in a lot of stuff in Brown County. I've just sold a house in town. We're building another house at the lake. Not for us, for sale, and I'm in all of Brown County, not just Precinct 2, but I maintenance over 100 aerobic units, so I go from one end of the county to the other all the time. I'm on all the streets all the time. I just see some things in Precinct 2 that I'd like to change, and I'm running for this position, not only that, but because I want to serve the people. I've decided that if you elect me, I'm going to put my equipment aside. I'll sell most of it, give the rest of it to my son, what he wants to take, and I'm going to be a servant to Brown County. I put in my ad that I'm going to be full-time, and what that means is I'm a hands-on person. I'm not one to just I don't just want to go to court. I don't want to just do office work. I want to go help the guys work. I want to do some things. I've been in the paving business as well. I paved this church parking lot 20 years ago. I know a lot about paving, and I would like to do some things to better my county and my precinct. Right now, there's lots of people, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but Brown County is almost no longer a small town. When you drive through town now, you can almost catch a red light twice. So, so our county is getting used more. Out in the country, the roads are more traveled, and used to I could drive down my road and see no one, and now I have to watch out and I get run off the road going home. So, but the reason I'm doing this is because I want to serve Brown County. A couple other things about my life is on the weekend, I preach at a small Baptist church out here on 2273. We don't have bright lights near this bright. And we don't have speakers in the bathroom. If you need to go, you're not going to miss nothing. Lo and behold, they have speakers in their bathroom here. Whoever did that, thanks. I was impressed. My name's Jeff Hoskinson, and I want to serve Precinct 2. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay, Joel, your opening statement.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for having us here. My name is Joel Kelton, Commissioner of Precinct 2. I'm a longtime resident of the area also. And there are 4 generations of my family living in this park currently, and our backgrounds are going to be pretty similar. We've all gone to the same school. We all know each other. We're all approximately the same age, I'll say. Anyway, my wife and I live in the community of May, and we own a machine shop there with multiple employees. And I believe I'm a strong voice for Precinct 2 in Brown County, and I bring a common sense approach to local government, which means I'm also a strong conservative. I try to be a straightforward, no-nonsense kind of guy, and I continually serve to help those of Precinct 2 and Brown County as a whole. In the past, I too have served on the school board. I served 10 years on the May School Board. I served as May Fire Chief prior to Bo. They've done a lot of things since I've been there. They've grown that tremendously, so they've done a good job. I continue to serve on the May Water Supply Board. I'm very frugal at budget time, though. Some might even say I'm a tightwad, and I'm okay with that. But I understand, though, that we must meet our needs and requirements while still keeping the tax rate as low as possible. That's not an easy task. I've worked with the North Lake community over the years. When I first took office, I helped them overcome some problems with the ambulance service in that area. More recently with their fire department issues, and we're working with them right now trying to get them some storm shelters. And we're going to work and help them build a helicopter landing pad for their medical emergencies. I've also worked with our grant writer we had in the past, Bob Contreras, to get a generator for the May Water Supply, and we've also got more money since then for repairs and improvements. Our precinct 2 out there, we continue to improve our roads system there. We have a great crew. We have good equipment. It's well maintained. And I always take my calls. I always try to return my calls. I'm always available. I don't hide my phone. They don't screen my phone calls. I say, if you get a call, send them straight to me, and they do, if our phone will work out there. And I've also been chosen to chair your ambulance committee, the ambulance oversight committee. I have the honor to serve as your judge pro tem, and I'm dedicated to do what's best for Precinct 2 and Brown County as a whole. And I would appreciate your continued support for that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, the first question, we'll start with Bo. What do you think qualifies you to be a county commissioner?
Oh, what qualifies me to be a county commissioner? It's the same thing to me as being on the school board or being in the fire department. I have a passion, I care. I care about the outcome. I care about with the school district. I care about the kids. I care about the county. I'm one of those guys that if you're looking around May, Texas for somebody, hey, I need to get something done. Hey, we're going to get Bo. Do you know how many things I've chaired, how many things I've led? This is just a new thing for me. To me, it's something where I can actually give back to the entire county, not just Precinct 2. I mean, I'm passionate about Precinct 2. Don't get me wrong. I love Precinct 2, but I am passionate about our county, about getting things done. I just want to do it right, do it once, and be done with it. We thank y'all.
All right, thank you. Okay, Jeff, same question. What do you think qualifies you to be a county commissioner?
One thing I think qualifies me is I've been in business for over 35 years, doing mostly road work and dirt work and septic systems, and just my business ground that I've been in. I've been in lots of adventures, and I think I would like to serve Brown County because I can bring all that to the floor and use that experience to better my precinct. Most of the stuff that our commissioners do is road work, court, the buildings, and I have a large background in construction, and I just think that gives me qualification, that and my business ethics that I've been through, and I'd like to apply them to Brown County. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Joel, same question. What qualifies you to continue as a county commissioner?
Well, I believe my years and background in and around construction and equipment are one good plus. My experience working with budget, working with and for other people, my problem-solving skills, my ability to work well with others. I'm always available. I always answer and return my calls, like I said earlier, which is important in this job. And like I say, I try to just have a common sense and straightforward approach to the challenges that arise. And I will always continue to try to keep your tax rates as low as possible and still meet the needs we have, which there's a lot to this job besides roads. And I'll just say it's been an honor to serve in this position. I hope I've done well. I believe I have, and I would like to have your continued support there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll change the rotation just to make it a little bit different. I got that messed up so bad last time. We'll try to get it right this time. Jeff, next question will be for you. The county's roughly $22.8 million budget. Most of that's already allocated by statute or state requirements. Of the portion of the budget that is influenced by the Commissioner's Court, how would you prioritize spending, excluding roads and bridges? What are the things in the county you have or would be priorities for you?
Well, one thing is the sheriff's office. I think that we need to, as more people move here, we have lots of people moving here from lots of different places. Anytime that you have growth, it's not always just good people. There's bad people that follow too. And one thing I would do highly is support the sheriff's office. They have an elected sheriff, and if he brings something to us, I believe that the people voted him in for a reason, and more than likely, I would always go along with Vance in anything that he needed. Something else that needs to be looked at is some of the volunteer fire departments. They struggle to make it, and I don't know if a lot of you know, but ISO and if you have foam trucks, there's a lot of things that lower your insurance rate if you have a good fire department and you live in a certain distance to that fire department. Not only that, but I'm up.
All right, thank you. Okay, Joe, you can go next. The question is the $22.8 million budget the county has, most of that is already allocated by statute or state requirements. Of the portion that remains, not counting road and bridges, what would your priorities be?
Well, things change things as they go along. Recently, we've had a lot of priorities thrown on because we've been hit with the COVID thing, and we've received money for that to disperse for that. But so I classify things three ways. You do the things you shall or you must do that require you to do. Then you do the things that you need to do, which there's a never end of that. And then if you had any money left, which there isn't, to do the things you want to do. So it's just basically there's always things that need to be done. There's always problems that arise. There's always projects that need to be done, and you just have to prioritize those items. You have to judge their needs on the merit and spread that out as far as it goes. There'll never be too much money. There'll never be a place you're looking to put money. There's always something that needs repair, work, upgraded, or whatever. And it's just a matter of trying to see those as they come along and spend it wisely, because it changes. It changes sometimes from day to day.
All right, thank you. Bo, same question. $22.8 million budget. Again, most of that's allocated by statute or state requirements. Aside from road and bridge, of that leftover funds, what would you prioritize for the county?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think we all can agree that the sheriff's office is, to me, that's our football team. I hate to keep coming up with school analogies, but that's our football team. Vance and I actually had a conversation today about that. And I'm going to support him in anything that he wants to do and make sure that it's advantageous for the county. I also want to look at any kind of infrastructure that we could do for the county to make Brown County more attractive to businesses or some other source of revenue so that we can get more jobs in the county. I don't know for sure what that's going to be. You can ask me a year from now if I'm your commissioner, and I'll let you know exactly what that is. But that would be my definite focus. It's any kind of infrastructure that we could do to make Brown County more attractive, bring in more jobs, to bring in higher pay for all the people of Brown County.
All right, thank you. Okay, next question, we'll start with Joel. You can go first this time. The county has, because you mentioned this anyway, it's a good question. The county has received millions in dollars in ARP funds. What would you like to see those funds used for?
ARP funds. Well, we've spent some of those funds, not all of them, but some of the ones we've received this time to, we've met there were a lot of volunteer organizations that do a lot of good things for Brown County that weren't able to do their fundraisers. I'm trying to call names like the ARC and other. We kind of supplemented those. Those are some of the smaller things. We worked with a bunch of the rural water systems to help them meet some needs. After the freeze of February last year, there were a lot of things came up about needing generators and alternative sources of energy to keep the water systems running. There was actually some mandates coming down to get those done. There are still things coming from the COVID money that we're holding back some money to see that we're not out of this yet. I know we're moving forward out of it, but there's still, we may have bills yet to come, needs to meet there. So it's a change. And once again, it's another one of those things we have changing goals, and they change from time to time. Different things have arisen, but we will use those wisely, but we'll have to take some of these things as they come.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, next same question for Bo. The county has received millions of dollars in ARP funds. How would you like to see those funds used?
Well, I mean, like I said, I really stand here in ignorance pretty much. I mean, infrastructure, water is going to be vital to Brown County. I mean, depending on whether it rains or not, whether Brownwood Lake fills up, that's not really putting ourselves in a good position. We need to try to figure out how to solve that problem, whether it's water treatment plants that are improved where we can use some more of our wastewater. Or I can't really give you a really good answer, I guess is what I'm going to try to tell you. But infrastructure is definitely would be a big deal to me.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see, yeah. You got same question, yes, sir. You got it?
I think so.
Okay.
How about we use it for gas? Well, gas is fixing to be $5 a gallon. No. I think that Bo hit a good spot there. Infrastructure, listen, a lot of the money, wherever it's allocated to, whatever it needs to be done, one thing I do believe is I believe that it needs to be out there and be used quickly. And it don't need to be held up. It needs to be put out. It needs to be used. And as long as it's being used to better our county, and as long as those people are accountable for the money that they get, and we see that they are accountable and we hold them accountable to what they get.
All right, thank you. Okay, the last question for your closing statements, and we'll go, Jeff, you can go first this time. It's explain your position on tax abatements for renewable energy projects in the county.
I will tell you, I'm highly against tax abatement, and a couple of reasons why. Not totally against tax abatements, but for wind energy, solar energy, I would be against that. And one reason why is because most of all your wind energy and your solar energy is funded by government. Those people already are getting government funds. Now they come to our county and they want us to give them another break, where we lived here our whole life and we're all paying taxes. If anybody deserves a break, I believe it's the taxpayers of Brown County that's been here paying all those taxes. I don't believe that we need to give it to people that's funded by the government. And what else could you say now? If somebody come here and they were offering 300 jobs, offering 100 jobs, would we look at that? I would be for looking at that and maybe helping those people so we could have those jobs in Brown County. But the wind farms and the solar, they normally employ one person.
All right, thank you. Joel, same question.
Not a one-minute answer, but I'll try.
Okay.
So we
Your
all know that
position on tax abatements.
Say again?
Tax abatements.
Okay, so we all know that it was a highly debated thing, and it was any tax abatement that comes before you, you need to look at it on its own. Wind and solar are different. A big business is different than that. I'm going to try to go through this quickly right here. In the more recent solar proposal thing, it was a very highly debated thing. We had people on both sides of the people, good folks from both sides, battling pretty hard, for and against. And some of the ones that were against were very loud and very ugly. And it was pretty, and it's a bad spot to be caught in the middle of. I mean, because you're right dead in the middle of that. But it's in the end, it's not really about how I feel about solar or wind or abatements. You have to look and see what it does for the county. But you got to listen to your voters. And we had 2-to-1 voters that contacted the county commissioners that were in favor of doing this than not. So if you listen to your voter, you can't just say, no, I would never, because the voters that were contacting us, we have a list of them, they were 2-to-1 in favor.
All right, thank you. Bo, same question.
I got this. Something I hadn't told you, I worked in the oil and gas business for the last 30-plus years. In my time in owning oil and gas wells and owning leasehold, I have never once got a tax abatement for anything, not once. I don't believe that the solar or the wind turbines are financially viable at this point. I don't see why us as taxpayers have to pay to make something that's not viable make it. I think that it's vital that we have wind and solar or an alternative energy of some source. I really do, because oil and gas is going to run out. It's not going to last forever, folks, but they're going to have, and if we keep giving them money, they're not going to do the necessary research to make their source of energy viable to be productive and where we can count on it on a day-to-day basis.
All right, thank you. Okay, closing comments, statements. Joel, you can go first.
Well, my closing comment is that last question was a very hot very, very bad thing to have to deal with. And 1 minute doesn't do justice to answer what we went through, the heck we went through for a year or so. But in the end, I tried to do what the constituents wanted us to do. We actually looked very careful at that and went through that. And it's not just a yes or no. It's hard to just say yes or no because there's so much stuff involved. But other than that, I mean, I've worked hard to try to do what's best for the county. I've always tried to be very conservative, very frugal. I've tried to be very accessible to the people of the county. I will continue to do what I've been doing. I know that one deal was a badly debated deal, but it's a bad spot to be, but we had to do what we do and move forward, and we have moved forward. And that's my promise, that I'll continue to do the best I can for you. If I had in the past, I would appreciate your continued support. And I have a longer answer for that, but we couldn't get that in 1 minute.
All right, thank you. Okay, Bo, you can go next with your closing comment.
All right, well, like I said, I really appreciate all y'all coming tonight. I appreciate Victory Life Church. I'm a petroleum landman by trade. I didn't even say that in the beginning. My wife and I have owned many businesses. My wife's driving the beautiful pink Cadillac outside, and I just really appreciate y'all all coming tonight. I hope that you've been enlightened, and hope these guys over here are going to enlighten us even more. But I thank y'all for your support. I thank everybody for their support over the last 35 years I've been on the school board, the 40 years I've been with the fire department with a passion to serve Brown County. And I just hope that I get the opportunity to continue with the passion to serve Brown County. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jeff, closing comment or statement?
First, I want to thank all y'all for showing up. It's very important that you vote. If you don't vote, you can't gripe, right? I've always lived by a motto, I, the willing, led by the unknown, have done so much with so little for so long, I am now qualified to do anything with nothing. And not only that, but my dad, from the time I was little, I had to work. And I remember one time when I was about 17, we were working, I went to the truck and I got a Coke out and I opened it up and my dad looked at me, he said, son, he said, I told this man we'd give him 8 hours. He said, put the Coke up and let's go back to work. If you elect me as your commissioner, that'll be my work ethics for Brown County. I will be there all the time. My phone will be on. I will answer any question I can. If I can't answer it, I'll find an answer. I want to help Brown County, and I want to serve is the one reason that I'm running for this position. Y'all know I'm a Baptist preacher. Could I have 10 more minutes?
No, you heard the horn. All right, thank you guys. Okay, now the candidates for Precinct 4, Commissioner. 4, yeah. George and Larry, Huseman and Trawick. Okay, these are the candidates for Brown County Commissioner Precinct 4. And so opening comments, we'll start with George. You go first.
Good evening. I'm going to break all the rules because I don't write speeches and I was raised in the Army. Where do we start? My name is George Huseman. I'm a 30-year combat veteran, served the Army for 30 years, 7 months and 5 days, 22 plus years active. The rest of the time I was a law enforcement officer. I worked with the governor's office when they started a program called Task Force Unity, where we worked on the border with the Border Patrol when they were separated from green suiters, as we call them, pickle suiters now, and blue suiters, all along the Texas border. And I always ask people, if you've never lived there, worked there, please don't make a comment on it till you've been there, because it's a bad situation. Second thing is, first of all, I'm a Christian. That's my number one thing. I'm a father, a husband, and an American. No, I'll get into that in a minute. I hope you read my flyer from my bio, because I'm going to do something different. I'm going to tell you what you're not going to get if you vote for me. One thing I've learned about election time is you see all these people that you hardly ever see, smiling, shaking hands, and they're using all these words like leadership. One of the most misused words in politics. So if you're one a politician, don't vote for me. I don't play along to get along. I don't get in the good old boy system. I do my research. I love military history. I've been to 58 different countries. We have the best system in the world. But with that being said, it's the people that are in that system that make it what it is. We all saw that with the government overreach. On my flyer, you're not going to see a Republican sign. If you don't know I'm a Republican, then we're doing something wrong. I'm a constitutional conservative, okay? And when you use the word leadership, it gets mixed up with a thing called likership, okay? When things come before us like tax abatements, your tax dollar, I work for you if I'm elected precinct 4 voters. You're my boss, I'm your employee. I'm held accountable for every decision I make. My word to you is I will serve you with the honor and distinction I served the military. I don't care about hearsay or any of that stuff. I want a black and white source document to show me that, okay? I do my research in breadth and depth. In other words, I read the incomplete document. I don't read just till I get what I like to see and say, hey, I'm stopping there, okay? There's a big difference in that. I don't know a lot about paving roads. I got my own backhoe. My wife and I own an animal sanctuary ranch. I'm going to try to hurry with this 30 seconds here. I've walked a lot of heroes in my time, true heroes in the Army. One of those is my wife. Excuse me for my emotional. She was the head nurse at the Fort shooting at Fort Hood. Her counterpart was a major, ran out the window and left those soldiers.
All right.
My wife stayed.
Thank you.
No. You want the microphone or you want to put it up here?
Okay, Larry, your opening comment or statement.
Good evening. My name is Larry Trawick. I want to thank the Republican women for putting this on and the things they do for us. I have lived and raised my family in Brown County. I was married to my high school sweetheart 50 plus years ago, and we have 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. God has blessed me. I have been in office for 15 years, and along with all the budget and courthouse stuff we handle, I have also taken care of 200 miles of road, 100 of which is paved and 100 which is base. I strive to keep the taxes low. After all, I'm a taxpayer also. The material budget I have to work with is about $250,000, and it takes $80,000 to $100,000 to build a mile of road. You know, that don't let you do a whole lot, but we do the best we can with what we've got, and we'll continue to do so. I have paved 40 miles plus of have repaved because the old paved roads are just worn out, you know, and we can't afford to repave them all. And I've based 100 miles of base roads, just about. While in office, we have had 3 disasters, FEMA. One we received $170,000, the other one $350,000, and the last one $5+ million. And FEMA comes out and they tell you, you know, what roads you can get, and they designate. You'll have to skip spots. Well, we're going to redo them skip spots. You know, I mean, we're going to pave them the whole part. We'll have a new road, but it'll take a few years. You know, a couple, 2 or 3 years because of the money. It just we can't just do everything we want to. And the last 2 years have been horrible. I mean, we couldn't get materials. We'd be waiting 6 months on a time or 2 on chip rock, and it's just you can't hardly get parts. It's been COVID has really wore us out, and it's been a challenge the last 2 years. So anyway, I would appreciate your vote on March the 1st. Early voting begins February the 15th.
All right, thank you, Larry. Okay, the first question, George. What do you think qualifies you to be a county commissioner?
Well, again, the county commissioner does a lot of things. Obviously, we're accountable for the roads in Precinct 4, but more importantly, we're accountable for the budget for the county. I have sit back and watched. People ask why I got into this. I didn't want to be in politics, trust me, and I'm not going to be a politician. But I went to the county commissioner's court and I've sit there and I've watched what goes on there, okay? The good old boy system is alive and well. And it just doesn't work for Brown County. We're too big now. There's too many issues that come up. This wind and solar thing, I'll wait till those questions come up, exactly what I saw go on with that. Okay, we learned our lesson with Kohler and 3M by giving people tax abatements because they promised these jobs. And we saw what happened when it comes to federal government overreach. Okay, yeah, they gave us jobs, but they also took them if you wouldn't take the job. And that's not against the local people here for those companies because they did the best they could. But we learned a hard lesson. I will never let the federal government or the state government take your rights away. And I'm going to talk about the Constitution a little bit later.
You. Okay, Larry. What qualifies you to be county commissioner?
15 years. And I've been in business for myself for many, many years. I got on a combine when I was 9 years old. I know how to work. And I know how to work for the public because that's what I've done all my life. We custom combined, we farmed, we ranched. We dealt with public all the time, you know. We can't, like I said a while ago, as a commissioner, you can't just do everything you want because the money's not there. You just do the best you can. And this good old boy system, we're common sense. We're common sense country people, you know, all of us on our, and you know, we just have friends. I mean, and that's what it's all supposed to be, you know, good friends, good neighbors. I mean, I treat nobody different.
All right, thank you. Okay, George, the next question. The county has roughly a $22.8 million budget. Most of that's already allocated by statute or state requirements. Of the portion of the budget that's influenced by the Commissioner's Court, aside from road and bridge, what would be your spending priorities?
I want to see infrastructure in Brown County, and I'm talking about, we have a very large population of elderly. When our water goes out at Brooksmith, I want to know the 5 W's and an H. Who, where, what, when, and why, and how. I want it put up on a website and a phone number that says, hey, we got a water break on County 105. We've got 5 guys working on it. We're hoping to have it up at 12. When you pick up the phone and you call and it says we have a water break, well, thanks. Somebody in Houston answered the phone and told you that. I knew we had a water break or I wouldn't have called. We need to have it out there for communications for the people. There's plenty of money to do that. The same thing with the electrical grid. People need to be knowing what's going on. If I have an elderly parent that needs something, if their refrigerator goes out, I need to know, hey, it's going to be 2 days before we fix it, so I can get over there and get some help to them, get a generator to them. There's money for that, and we need to do that. We need to support our emergency management, and we need to support our sheriff's department, because law and order is everything that we do. And being a former cop, unless you've worn a uniform and waved the badge,
next
you don't
question.
understand it.
Okay, question for you, Larry. Same question. $22.8 million budget. Most of that's already allocated by statute or state requirements. Of the portion that's left for the Commissioner's Court, what would you prioritize besides road and bridges?
Well, we've got a lot of buildings. It takes a lot of money to keep that up. We got to keep the sheriff department in good shape. They're one of our main deals in the county. I mean, but another thing, we've got children out there that need help. You know, they can't help what happened to them. So we've got to keep clothes on them. We've got to keep food in their bodies. That's what the Bible says, help your neighbor. So, I mean, as far as spending it quick, this COVID deal's not over yet. We've got to keep some of that just in case. This thing, we hope it's rounding down, but we don't know that. And so that's what I do.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll keep the rotation going.
I guess that means I'm up.
You're up. Let's see here. The county's received millions in dollars in ARP funds. How would you like to see those funds used?
Just what we just talked about. I want to see it used to help our citizens, to know what's going on in our county. Again, we have to support our law enforcement and emergency management because that's what it boils down to. But again, we have to have leaders. I'm going to use this time to punch on that. We have to have leaders that are going to stand up for your rights. If you look what happened to Australia, which was one of our greatest allies, the first thing they did, the government took their guns away, and look what's happening now with COVID. They're arresting people and beating people for being outside smoking a cigarette without a match. It matters who's in office. And we work for you, the people. And I will always answer my phone day or night. And if we disagree, then we'll disagree. I'll never take credit for something I didn't do. And when I do something wrong, I will take responsibility. That's what leaders do. You ain't got to be the smartest person in the room to be the best leader. But you have to be smart enough to surround yourself with smart people. I have a ranch. I run a backhoe, my ranch, and I have a bulldog. I don't have a backhoe.
All right.
I can run those things.
Thank you a lot. Okay, Larry, same question for you. The county's received millions of dollars in ARP funds. How would you like to see those funds used?
We've got to spend them wisely. We can't just give it to whoever for whatever. You know, again, infrastructure. We need to spend it on what helps the most people. You know, and it was said we need to spend it as quickly as we can. You don't spend it as quickly as you can. Again, this deal's not over. We may need some of it. We've got several buildings. We got the jail, the museum. You know, we got our courthouse. Infrastructure is one of the main things because we let our infrastructure go to pieces. We go pieces too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last question for George. Explain your position on tax abatements for renewable energy projects in the county.
Okay, as a business owner, I don't mind solar. I'm going to put solar on my hill, but I'm not going to ask my neighbors to pay for it. One of my units, the 8 units I had when I was a Command Chief Warrant Officer for Fort Hood, was Los Alamitos, California. They took solar panels and put them on top of their carports that were already built. It was a smart decision. It worked good. But it's your land. If you want wind on it, solar, that's fine. Just don't ask the rest of us to pay for it. It's that simple. As a business owner, if you come to me and you have a federal and a state tax abatement, you tell me you got to have a county do it, that's called a bad business plan. All right? Everybody here would like one. Again, it takes leadership. It wasn't a hard decision. We didn't need to spend $60,000 to a law firm in Austin to figure out we needed it. You go to the Red Wagon, Studebakers, Chili's, Underwoods. The people there tell you they don't mind it, but they don't want to pay for it. And as Brooks Mick's finding out now, all that money is promised to them made as much as they thought. They hired one local guy. We don't even get the energy.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Larry, your question. What do you believe in tax abatements for renewable energy projects in the county?
Well, they really worked good last February, didn't they? You know, we all like froze to death, run out. You know, the solar panels we're going to end up with, they got the solar panels, we got 100% of the tax money. It was a win-win for everybody. That's just the way it turned out. But, you know, over this spell here, Canada, solar panels and wind turbines failed on them. They all got cold, you know, and like I say, the government's already given them enough money. If they can't support themselves, I'm not for them.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, closing comment or statement. George, you can go first.
Closing comments. I want to talk about the 3 biggest lies told us in America. You get married and live happily ever after. Anybody knows in marriage, it's a compromise, it's work. So that's the first biggest lie. The second is that violence solves nothing. If you believe that, I got some oceanfront property in Brownwood. Violence does solve when it's used in the right way. That's why we have an army. And the third thing, the most powerful document ever written was the Bible. The second was this Constitution. That's admired all around the world. For those that say the pen is mightier than the sword, I got news for you. As a person who's had to put violence on other people for 30 years, that's a lie. This document, as great as it is worthless unless you have a soldier, when I say I'm talking about all of them, Airmen, Marines, everybody, this is worthless unless you have someone standing there willing to put violence, if necessary, to take it from you. That's what I'll do for you. I will not let the government do that to you.
Thank you. Okay, Larry, closing comment? Closing comment or statement?
Everybody on the court, everybody that's holding the office has sworn themselves to uphold the Constitution. I put it, I'm a gun-toting, American-loving person. I bring to the court common sense. I'm going to do what I think is right. I'm going to talk to my people. They're going to talk to me. You can't talk to all 6,000, 7,000 people that's in my precinct. It's just not, it's impossible. We do the best we can. We're going to uphold the Constitution, and I'm going to ask for your vote again, and I appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Okay, those are your candidates for county commissioner. Okay, now the candidates for county judge, if y'all would come to the stage. Okay, first name's okay. As you can see, we're missing a candidate. We were notified yesterday at 3 through an email that his letter says that he sent to us about not being able to be here tonight. The cardiologist had ordered me home and not to participate in any large gatherings where COVID could spread easily. I will release a notice to the media ad to why I will not be participating tomorrow. We, after this, made a contact with him about trying to do it some way electronically, because that could be done here with all the screens and everything else. And he said he had a prior engagement after that. And then after that, another call was made to him that he could not come because he had to teach a class in Tarleton. So he's not here tonight, so we're going to go on without him. But that's the information that we got from him and the information that was in the media after that. So we'll start without him. Okay, the format will be basically the same as the others. There's some questions that are more specific because it's a different position than the county commissioner, but we'll go ahead and start with opening statements. And so, Terry, you can go first.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us. My name is Terry Blevins, and my platform is simple. Do the right thing. In all things and at all times, do the right thing. We have all witnessed the failures of local, state, and federal governments to simply do the right thing. I'll make 3 promises: availability, accountability, and commitment. I will be available to the public, for which I will faithfully serve. I'm a lifetime resident of our community, and I'm absolutely committed to our community. I've spent untold time and money supporting civic clubs, Brownwood Reunion, local kids, sports teams, scholarships. I even gave a car away one year for project graduation. So yes, I am committed to our community. Many people have forgotten that the duties of any elected official is to serve the public. Public service. I want to cultivate a return to the past where citizens served the community and politics was not a career path. I'm going to skip part of this because that'll be in one of the questions, I'm afraid. County judge has numerous financial and administration functions, and as a former successful business owner and manager of multiple local businesses, I have the proven business management experience and skills that's necessary to manage the business of the county. I am well versed and experienced in countless admin and management roles. I will manage effectively and efficiently, but work under the knowledge that our tax dollar is hard-earned and should not be squandered away just because it's available, allocated, or budgeted. I hold the designation in the insurance industry as an executive general adjuster. Numerous times I have worked through mediation and contract disputes through to resolution. I submit to you that I have more business experience and storm management experience than any of the other candidates, even combined. I'm going to cut this a little short because I'm not a long-winded politician. Who better to manage the business of Brown County than a Brown County business owner and manager? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, Shane, same thing, opening statement or comment?
James, you've made me really nervous about putting my hands in my pockets.
I hadn't forgot it.
Oh, that's right. He was said hold on. Yeah, right. First of all, I want to thank Victory Life Church for having it this evening, and the Brown County Republican Women's Club for putting it on. This is always the best event during election season, and that's what I've told everybody. It's the best attended, best organized, and I appreciate it. I want to recognize my wife and one of my 3 daughters that are here tonight supporting me. They are my greatest accomplishment in life is my marriage and my 3 daughters. One thing that I've learned from having a wife and 3 daughters is when a group of women put their minds together, they can move mountains. Somebody found that out the hard way. The most important thing for you to remember is you own the county government. You are the county government. Thank you. You are the owners of a $23 million business. This is not my money. This is not Judge Lilly's money. This is not the commissioner's money. This is your money. And this is a job interview. We've applied for a job, and you are now interviewing us. Now, part of interviewing us is you determine who's the most qualified candidate. If any of you have a private business or you serve on a board and you've got an opening and you receive qualifications, you don't select somebody because they're friendly or because they're pretty or because there's your friend. No, you select the most qualified. And I believe that when you examine the qualifications of the 3 candidates, you're going to find that not only am I the most qualified, in fact, I'm really the only person that's even qualified. We have a serious void of leadership at the Brown County Courthouse, and some of you have probably realized that. We are at a crisis level in our court system, and we're going to talk about that later. I think we're going to have questions about that. But as you listen to us tonight and as you make your decision over the coming days about voting, what I want you to do is look at qualifications. Who's the most qualified to do the job? And I'm assuming that you will make a decision based upon education, experience, qualifications, licenses, those types of things. I agree with a lot that's been said tonight by a lot of the candidates. First of all, I want to commend the candidates who have stepped forward. This is not fun. It seems like it's fun when it's not you, but when it's you, it's not fun. And I admire you for stepping forward. That's what makes the democracy value, is because people are willing to step forward. And so I commend you and I thank you, and I look forward to sharing some more of the answers with you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Molly, opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Molly K. Smith. I am a thinking conservative, farmer, rancher, conservationist, small business owner, property owner, and property taxpayer. One of my favorite quotes is from our second female Texas governor. If you give us a chance, we can perform. After all, Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did. She just did it backwards and in high heels. I graduated from Brownwood High in 1995 and Baylor University with a Bachelor of Science in Education in 1999. I paid for my own education and built my own cattle business. I think I can help bridge the gap between urban and rural cultures. As a candidate, I am not going to make promises I cannot keep. My primary goal for our Commissioners Court is to improve our morale. As the chair who oversees the Commissioners Court, I will implement proper parliamentary procedure. My number one focus and priority will always be water conservation. Our Texas population is growing, but Lake Brownwood is not. Without groundwater and surface water, nothing else matters. I will always be forward-thinking, educating our county about drought contingency plans, more efficient ways to conserve water, more efficient water consumption methods, and more efficient water storage for our county. Our law enforcement is my next priority. Our community's safety is imperative. I support our Sheriff's Department 100%. Serving as head of emergency management, I will ensure that communication of our available resources reaches all the residents of Brown County, both urban and rural. The position of county judge does not require a law degree. The state of Texas will provide the adequate training and education necessary for me to perform the required judicial duties. This will limit my power as county judge. I think my limited judicial authority is a good business decision for Brown County and prevents any potential judicial conflicts of interest. Too much power in the hands of one individual is not good policy for any level of government. Brown County has a sufficient number of licensed attorneys in our courthouse to handle our higher level judicial cases. I think checks and balances in Brown County government will ensure that one elected official does not become too powerful. As county judge, my limited judicial scope of practice will ensure political power is not concentrated in the hands of one individual. My greatest assets are that I have a strong desire to learn, but most importantly, I am teachable. I am not afraid of conflict and the uncomfortable conversations that most people run away from altogether. Uncomfortable conversations about race, child abuse, and mental illness would lead to bridge building and civil behavior among everyone. I will lead by example, and I am comfortable serving in that position. I am from Brown County, and I am for Brown County. I want to take Brown County from good to great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next question, we'll start with you, Terry. You've talked about your business experience in your ads, and tonight you've mentioned it also. There's people skills involved and your business backgrounds. What experience do you have with your personality and your timidness or lack thereof? Do you think it makes you a right fit for the county judge?
Did you say timidness?
That's what I said. I can change it to temperament. How's that?
I do have a low tolerance for stupid, that's for sure. My temperament, well, as I get older, I get better. I think we all grow throughout life to become better people. We get old, we forget the question, too. What was
About your business experience, what for the county judge's spot, how those connect or not connect, or how you've gained experience from that?
Well, if you look at the TAC website, there are 8 pages of duties and responsibilities that apply to the county judge. 1 page of those is judicial responsibilities, while the other 8, 4 of those pages directly relate to finance and admin. Since I've been 30 years in business, in multiple businesses and storm management throughout the country, I've got the experience. It's proven. It's undeniable.
All right, thank you. Okay, Molly, you can go next. The question for you is, this is your first run for public office. Why did you choose the county judge position, and what makes this position the right fit for you personally?
I think building my ranching business 16 years ago qualifies me to manage our county budget. I have always lived within my financial means, made astute financial decisions regarding my ranching business, have excellent credit, and pay property taxes. I have skin in the game. I think if I can manage my own business and personal finances in a way that is fiscally conservative, I can manage those same values while serving as our rural county budget officer. I am always forward-thinking and trying to manage my business more efficiently. As owner and operator of a ranch, I know that I must maintain a calm disposition when dealing with emergencies on the ranch. Dealing with life and death scenarios on a regular basis, adjusting my farming practices with unforeseen weather patterns, and crisis animal veterinary emergencies have prepared me to serve as our head of emergency management. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Shane, you're next. The question that's for you is that recently your position after 20 years in the Brown County attorney's position, there's been some investigations. Where are those and what's the status of that investigation?
And I think that's a fantastic question. If I was a voter in Brown County, I would want to know that. And so I thank you for asking that question. In 2016, and I'm going to talk fast because there's a lot to cover. In 2016, an allegation was made that we were inappropriately conducting our pretrial diversion program. A pretrial diversion program is a first-time offender program for first-time offenders, and it is a way for them to be on informal probation as an alternative to going through the court process. There was an issue related to the fees that were collected. We had gone to the legislature and had those fees approved. Our program is now a model that other counties are using, which is the ironic part of it. Someone made an allegation. It was investigated. It was investigated thoroughly, and it was closed in 2018. Didn't realize it was still an issue until this election, and it was made an issue by some folks. But we were cleared. They summarily dismissed the investigation at the end of it without ever even interviewing me. And so I have got
Thank you.
copies of the letter, the clearance letter available.
Okay, next we'll let's see, Molly, you can go next. The next question is, what are the top 3 priorities you have for Brown County?
My number 1 focus and priority will always be water conservation. Our Texas population is growing, but Lake Brownwood is not. I will always be researching and educating our community about our most precious and valuable resource. Without groundwater and surface water, nothing else matters. I will always be forward-thinking, educating our county about more efficient ways to conserve water, more efficient water consumption methods, and more efficient water storage for our county. Our law enforcement is my next priority. Our neighborhoods will thrive and communities of people will integrate more and engage more in each other's lives. I care deeply about the mental health of our county residents. I think I can effectively communicate the necessary public education required to help everyone understand mental health issues, including PTSD. I will communicate publicly all the resources available to our veterans and non-veterans. I will create a public platform for education and awareness for sex trafficking, child abuse, domestic violence, and family violence.
All right, thank you. Okay, Shane, same question for you. What are your top 3 priorities for Brown County?
Well, I'm going to limit it to 2 priorities: taxation and reopening the court system. We're taxing people out of their homes. We've got to do something to curb continued taxation. It's out of control. We've had an opportunity with some of the ARP funding, and I don't know if you're going to ask that question, to use that to help with our taxation issue, but we've got to do something about controlling. That begins with controlling spending. Since Judge Lilly has been in office, he has been the budget officer of 3 budgets that have collected over $1 million in additional tax revenue from you, the taxpayers. Number 2, we've got to reopen the court system. Judge Lilly has closed the court system. We're at a crisis. The day he took office, there were 655 misdemeanors pending. There's over 1,000 today. He has moved everything to county court at law and is expecting Judge Moss to hear his cases. We've got to get it reopened. We've got to have a judge that's qualified to hear criminal cases.
All right, thank you. Okay, Terry, same question for you. What would be your top 3 priorities for Brown County?
Well, I can't pick the sheriff's department. That one's already been taken. But obviously, the sheriff's department, we have to have a strong sheriff's department. Obviously, that county court needs to be reopened. It's absolutely unsustainable. Judge Moss and that group is definitely doing an outstanding job given the workload they've been presented with. Infrastructure, obviously, but technology. Sometimes the technology makes our jobs easier, faster, more efficient, and at some point you have to embrace the technology and quit resisting it. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, thank you. Did I already ask her? Top 3 priorities? Everybody's got that question, correct? Okay. Next question. Shane, you can go first. There's a large number of pending cases in Brown County Court at law. If elected county judge, how would you resolve that challenge?
Well, first and foremost, you have to have a judge who's qualified to hear those cases. There's so much work that goes on in the county court that a non-attorney judge cannot hear. And we've seen that. We've had a little experiment with the last 3 years about what does a non-attorney judge do. And it's failed, and it's failed miserably. We are at a crisis level in Brown County. Our court systems are overloaded. You've got 3 major courts: county court at law, and district court. What's happened by Judge Lilly closing the county court, which, by the way, he closed that so he could be a reserve officer in another county, okay? And so we've got to reopen that. But reopening that requires an attorney judge to hear those cases. We've also got to move all the juvenile cases from county court at law back into the county court. There again, that requires an attorney judge. That's the reason that we had to move them to start with, because Judge Lilly was not qualified to hear them.
All right, thank you. Next, the same question for Molly. There's a large number of pending cases in county court at law. If elected county judge, how would you help resolve that challenge?
I will serve wherever a void is needed. Serving as Brown County Judge, I think the fact that I do not have a law license is an asset, not a liability. This will ensure that our licensed attorneys, court at law judge, and district judge are the only team members handling our higher level judicial cases. I want to serve and fill that void wherever I am needed. I am a team player and will consult with our Brown County attorneys and judges. We will decide as a team what judicial cases I need to handle to help each of them and Brown County operate as efficiently as possible. The state of Texas will provide all the adequate training and education necessary for me to perform all the required judicial duties. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Terry, same question. The large number of backlog cases in the Brown County Court at Law, if elected county judge, how would you resolve that challenge?
Much of what Molly Kay said is absolutely true. The state will train us. I want to say that to get the pending cases beat down, it's going to take work ethic, and you have to show up. I don't think we should let the failure of Judge Lilly reflect on Molly Kay and myself for not being lawyers. The state doesn't require you to be a lawyer. 83% of the 254 counties in the state don't have lawyer county judges. It was said that counties our size need a lawyer judge. Well, I looked it up. Counties that are 30,000 to 50,000 and Brown counties at 38, 39,000 puts us firmly in the middle of that group from 30 to 50,000. Out of that group, those 25 counties, 5 of those counties have a lawyer judge. That's 20%, which is slightly higher than the state average. So to say that it's necessary in the 164 years of the state's history, the state didn't introduce legislation to change that requirement.
All right, thank you. You can use your time in a minute if you want to on the next question. But you can say anything you want to in your time. Okay, the next question, though, is how would you characterize your views of the county fiscal management and what would be in that situation there? So, Shane, you can go first.
Fiscal management is paramount. We've got to get a control of our fiscal management. We've got to get control of our spending. We've got an opportunity now because of the ARP funds that we've talked about tonight. We got $3.6 million in May. We're going to get another $3.6 million next year. What's most important about those funds, and I wish we would have got a question like the commissioners did, is that that's your money. You get to decide how we spend that money. Not the commissioners, not the county judge. You get to decide how we spend that money. We have to have complete transparency of all financial transactions. Everything that we do at the county courthouse has to be transparent. Judge Lilly has spent a tremendous amount of money fighting open records requests. The only time ever in the history of Brown County that a judge has spent money on outside attorneys to fight open records requests. That is unacceptable. We have to have complete and total transparency. We have to open our budget hearings and encourage public participation.
All right, thank you. Okay, Molly, same question. How would you characterize your views of county fiscal management?
I think the constituency of Brown County should make that decision. Thank you.
All right. Terry, same question.
Fiscal management It's not a whole lot different than any other management. As far as our taxes are concerned, we all dislike paying taxes, but I think more than the dislike for paying taxes, we dislike the frivolous spending that's happening. We don't mind paying our fair share, but when we see government waste of our tax money, that's what's infuriating us. So we need better stewardship of our hard-earned tax dollars. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next question, and it's kind of in line with what y'all want to talk about. Same question we have. How would you like to see those funds used?
That stack right there is the actual ARP rules. If anybody wants to peruse those later on tonight, it's 437 pages. It's very, very complicated, and it requires a lawyer to read them. We've got an opportunity. The law allows us to supplant general funds with those ARP funds, which ultimately results in lower taxes. And so we can take those ARP funds and deposit them into the general fund and pay our bills. Some of you have heard me use the example that Brown County thus far has been kind of like somebody that gets a $2,000 stimulus check, and instead of paying their bills, they buy a new big screen TV. That's what we did, is we bought a new big screen TV. We need to pay our bills. Second of all, when we do decide to spend some of that money, we need to have public input, public hearings, and a public process.
All right, thank you. Okay, Molly, same question. Brown County has received millions of dollars in ARP funds. How would you like to see those funds used?
Water conservation, law enforcement, and mental health issues.
All right, thank you. Different question. No, just kidding. Same question.
Oh, I just wanted to see if I could read this with me not being a lawyer. Let's see, public comment. Many commenters expressed uncertainty. Yes, you can read it without being a lawyer.
All right, thank you. Okay, the last question has to do with tax abatements. Let's see, Terry, you can go first. What's your position on tax abatements for renewable energy projects in the county?
Here we go. There's no big secret. I was opposed to this particular tax abatement in Brooksmith, but for several reasons. The first reason was, as a business owner, I employed scores of people throughout the years, and never have I once thought of or expected a tax abatement. I expected to pay my fair share. So when you take a company that comes in and says they're going to spend $300 million, it's going to be worth $200 million by their assessment, and then they want tax abatement down to ridiculously low amounts, it's not fair to us. Because if we're paying 100%, they're paying 2%. They could bring it up to the middle, and everybody pays a little less, and then everybody paying a more fair share. And they brought one job, or two, whatever the final count ended up. But for that particular incident, I was against it.
All right, thank you. Same question. Who wants to go? Molly, you want to go this one? You can go first. Explain your position on tax abatements for renewable energy projects in the county.
I am opposed to any tax break for wind or solar industries. I have always been opposed to wind turbines. They are not green, not clean energy, not efficient, will never pay for themselves, decrease land value significantly, produce low-frequency sounds and shadow flicker, making it impossible to sleep at night, catch fire, destroy wildlife habitat, destroy livestock health, and kill beneficial wildlife. They consume excessive amounts of oil. The economic development for communities is short-lived. None of the temporary employees move here permanently and send their children to school here. Electricity bills will never decrease. Property taxes will never decrease. The only people who benefit from these wind farms are the shareholders who do not live on the property full time. Our government and mainstream media have manipulated and lied to the American people about these green energy farms. They are not transparent about the volume of groundwater and surface water they will consume.
All right, thank you. Same question, Shane. Tax abatements.
Okay. Thank you. If those of you that follow that issue closely, when it came before the Commissioners Court last year, if you will remember, and for those of you who haven't, you can go back and watch the meetings. Every time that came up before the Commissioners Court, I was preaching the same issue, transparency. I said, I'm the one that said, we have a meeting, we have it at night, we invite the public, we encourage the public's participation, and let them decide and let them tell us what they want us to do. This is their money. This is their business. And so ultimately we did that. We had a meeting at night. Adams Street very well attended by hundreds of people. That was for one reason and one reason only. It's because I insisted that we have a meeting at night and receive public input.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's all the questions. Time for closing comments. So, Terry, you can go first.
There's no need for me to recapitulate all the duties and responsibilities or further tell my story. So for my closing statement, I want to simply say I love my God, I love my wife, and I absolutely love my community. Thank you.
Okay. Molly, you can go second. Closing statement.
I am not a lawyer. I am a farmer. I am a rancher. I want to serve as our next county judge. I will fight for Brown County, our rights and our freedoms, like I have fought for my seat at the table as a female farmer. I will outwork and outperform every candidate on this stage. I will take care of Brown County like I have cared for my ranch, the soil, and water. I will take Brown County from good to great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, Shane, closing comment or statement.
As my good friend Lori Hurt, I think there's Lori, stated on Facebook one night, qualifications matter, because qualifications absolutely matter. I've got a handout. I'd love to go over everything that a county judge does, but you've got to remember this is a judicial job. This is not an administrative job. This is a judicial job. You are a judge of a very active court. Without a judge that's an attorney, it bogs down. We've got to manage the system. That's the system we have in Brown County. Every county is different. The statistics about attorneys and county judges who are not attorneys, they have different court system. They have multiple county court at law. We have one county court at law. He's having to hear all the family law cases and all the misdemeanor cases and all the juvenile. He can't do it. He's physically impossible to continue doing that. Qualifications matter, and you have to vote for a qualified candidate.
All right, thank you. I think it's only fair. The first question that we asked everybody here was specifically unique to the individual, we thought. And they were a little tougher questions than the rest of them. The rest of them were routine. It's only fair, I think, to know that the question that we didn't get to ask would be to Judge Lilly, which is, in your first term as judge, you applied for other positions outside the county. Today, you're essentially reapplying for county judge position. Can you reconcile that for the voters of Brown County? That was the unique question that would have been to him. So with that said, thank y'all, and we'll get the state representative positions up here. That's okay. Thanks a lot. Okay, state reps. Okay, these are for the state representative position 68, and for their opening statement. Before we start the clock, we're going to go with Mr. Spiller, David Spiller's first, but he's not here. His son's Reed is here. So why don't you explain why your dad can't be here, and then after that, we'll start your opening statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First off, my name is Reed Spiller. Obviously, as he stated, I'm David Spiller's son. David is unfortunately unable to be here this evening, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak and read the following statement on his behalf. For those of you that may not know me, I'm David Spiller. I'm the state representative for House District 68, which now includes Brown County. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there this evening. I had emergency retina detachment surgery on my left eye on Sunday, and I'm currently recovering and unable to travel. Thank you all for allowing me to send my son to speak on my behalf. I've made many trips to Brown County over the campaign, and I look forward to having many more. I was born and raised in Jacksboro. After graduating from Jacksboro High School and graduating from college and law school, I came back to Jacksboro to live, work, and raise my family. I have practiced law for 35 years. I have a private law practice with my 2 sons and previously practiced with my father and brother. I also own Spiller Title, believed to be the oldest family-owned title insurance company in the state of Texas, started by my great-grandfather in 1888. As part of my private law practice, I have served as city attorney for the city of Jacksboro for 34 years and as general counsel to the Jack County Hospital District for 31 years. I have also served on the Jacksboro Independent School District School Board for 26 years. I live in Jacksboro with my wife, Ginger. We've been married for 34 years. Ginger is a retired school teacher, having taught school for 31 years. We have 2 sons, Mason and Reed, who are both attorneys in Jacksboro. Mason and his wife, Alex, have 2 children. Reed and his wife, Haley, have 1 child. We are all members of the First Baptist Church of Jacksboro. I'm a rural conservative. I look forward to continuing to advance and defend the conservative principles, values, and beliefs of the people of this district and continuing to provide experienced, knowledgeable, and accessible representation that the citizens of this district deserve. I will fight to protect and defend our border, will fight vaccine mandates, will fight for lower property taxes, will protect the right to life, will defend the Second Amendment, will protect rural schools and hospitals, will defend our property rights and our water rights, and will support law enforcement, our military, and our first responders. I've been named a Faith and Family Champion by Texas Values. I've received the Courageous Conservative Award from the Texas Conservative Coalition, and I've been listed in the top 10 most conservative representatives by the Young Conservatives of Texas. In addition to that, I've also received endorsements from the following groups and individuals: former Governor Rick Perry, Congressman August Pfluger, Texas Farm Bureau, Texans for Lawsuit Reform, Combined Law Enforcement Associations of Texas, Young Conservatives of Texas, Texas Alliance for Life, Associated Republicans of Texas, and David also has an A rating from the NRA. We just finished the most conservative legislative session in the history of the state of Texas, passing a number of conservative Republican priorities. There are several conservative Republican priorities that were not passed. What you need to know is that on each of these issues, I've been an author or co-author on those bills in multiple sessions. I'm committed to getting each of them passed this next session. I believe in accessibility. If you call me, I will answer or call you back. If you text me, I will text you back. If you email me, I will email you back. If you follow me on Facebook on Representative David Spiller and post a comment, I will reply back to you. Thank you for your vote and support.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start off with opening comments or opening statement. Gary, you want to go first?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Gary Franklin. I'm a resident of the greater Lampasas-Lomita metropolitan area. I'm a native of Brownwood. I don't want to hit all the parts of the bio, try to pick one up on your way out, but I was born here. I'm a fighting Texas Aggie, class of 78. I'm a retired engineer from the oil and gas industry and a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel of 22 years. I went in as private first class and walked away 22 years later. And that kind of drives why I'm in this race. It initially started with me being concerned about the ability of an individual from one small part of the district at the far north end to be able to understand the problems that we see here in land with a little bit of oil, and you get down to Lampasas and it's the land of goats and rocks. But as I've traveled around and met the folks in the 68th District, I've become more aware that the biggest challenge facing us, not just as a community or as a district, but as a state and as a country, is that our freedoms and liberties are actually under attack. I've never been a conspiracy theorist. I've never been black helicopter type guy, but I've never seen anything in my 65 years on earth like what I'm seeing currently. I could not be more proud of what's going on in Canada with the truckers and regular people bringing 5-gallon cans of diesel fuel, and those people actually standing up for their freedoms and liberties. And I only hope that if push comes to the shove, that we as a people would do exactly the same thing. If a politician took a few days off, we would probably not even notice. In fact, it might make our lives a little bit better. If our truck drivers decided to shut down, how many minutes do you think before every shelf at Walmart would be empty of bread? I'm not backed by any of the political action committees, special interest groups, although I did get the endorsement from our local ag teacher at Lampasas High School when I was complaining about not having any endorsements. He said, "Hey, Gary, I'll endorse you, bring a sign to my yard." We'll talk more later, and I hope to see you guys out in the lobby. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Gary, opening comment or Mark, opening comment or statement?
Sure. This is actually not as high as I thought it would. I'm the short guy in the campaign here. I am Mark Middleton. I used to be a former preacher. I do have a master's in theology, and I see one collar there. For y'all that are pastors, I'm no longer a pastor because that job is tough. I step back and I'll fill in, preach for some preachers from friends of mine, do weddings and funerals. But I am a member of the Fold Church in Gainesville. I am a deacon there. I'm also a teacher, and I write my own material. So me and my wife have been going there a few years, and I'll allude to that. Yes, I am married, and been married 31 years to my high school sweetheart. We have 3 children, 2 grandchildren, and 1 on the way. Unfortunately, my grandchildren all live up in Wyoming. It is what it is, but that's also where my grandchild-to-be is. I do have one of my kids that live here in Texas, out in Era, Texas, not far from where we live. So I am a small government conservative constitutionalist. I'm also obviously a Christian, having a master's in theology. What's going on in America today is wrong. The federal government has gone rogue. Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution clearly lines out the box the federal government is allowed to operate in. Everything they've done over really the last 100 years has been outside of that box. Unfortunately, most of y'all don't realize that the state government has also gone rogue. COVID, Governor Abbott needs to go. He violated the Texas Constitution at least on 2 distinct areas. One, he allowed the Texas beaches to be closed. It distinctly says in the Constitution the beaches are public, you cannot close them. The second is ceding authority to the state or to the county judges to start shutting down businesses. That's breaking contracts. That's illegal according to the Texas Constitution. And yet the 87th legislature has allowed this to remain in place and have not made any changes, have not reined in Governor Abbott, have not censured him, have not done anything. They are just as complicit in it because they allowed it to continue. That's why I am running. I am sick and tired of watching what's going on in Austin, watching all of the grifting and the lobbyists and all that stuff going on. And I know y'all are too, because as I travel around this district, I get the same thing from y'all. So anyway, I am Mark Middleton, and thank y'all for being here tonight, and I look forward to answering questions.
Thank you. Okay, the first question, Gary, What are your top 2 priorities if elected to the Texas House?
The first priority I would have would be our southern border. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, we are being invaded. As part of my Army career, I spent 3 years with Joint Task Force 6, which is now called Joint Task Force North. They are the counter-drug, counter-terrorism operation based out of El Paso. I've spent a great deal of time on the border. It was a mess then. It is multiple times worse now. It doesn't have to be that way. Folks ask me how I would fix it. We can't do it alone. We have to make the federal government fix it. It's their job. But the way to fix it is to break it so bad they have to fix it. Start arresting the flight crews of those charter flights they use to take people away. Arrest charter bus drivers. Fine them heavily. Pretty soon, the government won't be able. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mark, same question. What would be your top 2 priorities if elected to the House?
I'll choose 2 different ones, mostly because I'm just going to say ditto to what he just said about the border. The number 1 thing I think I would fight for outside of that is elimination of property taxes. In Brown County is actually one of the largest group in the state, but EliminatePropertyTax.com is a Texas-based organization. The largest group is based here in Brown County. If you're unfamiliar with them, go to my website, look at my platform under the property tax, check it out. It will work. We've got to rein in all of these taxes that we're paying. In Texas, we do not own our property. We rent it from the state government on an annual basis. And even if you rent from someone else, you're still paying the property taxes in your rent. So we got to fix that. The second thing is the child trafficking going on down there. It is absolutely horrific what is happening on the border. Did y'all know there's brothels in the state of Texas?
All right, thank you.
Yes, they are.
Okay, Gary, the next question. Gary, House District 68 is a large district. How will you prioritize Brown County for any issues? Yes, sir.
Now, would you repeat
I'm
the question,
sorry.
please?
House District 68 is a large district. How will you prioritize Brown County issues?
Brown County is the geographic center and pretty much the median county of the 12-county district. In fact, I've looked at the geography pretty extensively. It would be hard not to prioritize it high. It's the second largest in population. It's also where I was born, and it's where all my ancestors are from. The counties to the north are oil rich. The counties to the south are without oil at all. It's going to take a careful, judicious hand to determine what is right and what is not right, because you may not be able to satisfy all. And that is the job of the legislature, not to pick the winners and losers, but to act as the referee. But bottom line, Brown County is the heart of this district.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mark, the same question. It's a large district. How will you prioritize Brown County issues?
Well, Brown County is the second largest county. Cook County is the first, but Brownwood is the largest city. So chances are the issues that the sheriff departments and your municipal police departments are having are exactly the same in every single county, in every single town and city in this district. I've talked to a lot of the sheriffs. I've talked to a lot of the police chiefs. The refrain is always the same: MHMR and unfunded mandates. Your county judge is probably going to say the unfunded mandates. So your issues are actually not that unique, even from Throckmorton County to Brown to Cook, all the way down to Lampasas and San Saba. I'm going to represent all of District 68. I will not necessarily prioritize one county over the other. I live in Cook. Brown County is the second largest county. I will prioritize Throckmorton at 1,400 residents, just like I will at 41,000 residents in Cook. All of them are the same.
All right, thank you. Okay, Gary, closing comment or statement?
Ultimately, in any election, there comes a time for choosing. This is not really going to be a big ideological problem. You have a choice of a conservative Republican, a conservative Republican, or a conservative Republican. Ultimately, what you're going to have to decide is who can you trust? Who is going to go to Austin and go to the mat on behalf of you and your family's best interest? Who is willing to defend your rights and your liberties as a citizen of Texas and the United States? I swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And as an officer, that oath is good and valid until the day I die. And I will do that. If you send me to Austin, I will take care of you. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mark, closing comment or statement?
Well, I can say ditto to most of it, except I did not serve in the armed forces. I was going Air Force ROTC in college at TCU, dropped out to marry my wife, and unfortunately never went back. You know, all of my life, I've been one to stand in the gap for other people, sometimes at great peril and expense to myself. I will do that for you. I am here to fight for all the citizens of House District 68 completely. I have been the one that will go to the mat. I have been one to stand in the gap. I am not afraid of authority. I am not afraid to stand up to it. Dave Phelan has to go from Speaker of the House. There's only one candidate here that will stand up against him, and that is me. But we also need all of y'all to change the upper government in the state. They've got to go because they're all rhinos. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank y'all. Thank each of you. Okay, just by way of explanation, Reed was read the statement that his father sent because he could not be here, and we didn't feel like, and I think Reed agreed with us, that he didn't need to be answering questions for his dad. His website's got plenty of information and everything else. All right, thank you.
And I've got cards. If anybody wants his number to ask about any of these issues or anything else, you know, that's just burning on your heart, his cell phone's out there. I've got him on each card, so feel free to give him a call. He'd love it.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thanks a lot, man.
You got him home.
Now for the Senate race, if the Senate candidates would come up. Okay, we'll start off the same way we've done the night so far. So we'll go with opening comments or statements. So Warren, if you want to go first.
Evening, all. I want to appreciate the warm welcome you've given me here in Brown County. I'm Warren Norrid. I'm running for Senate 10. A little bit about me, and you'll, of course, electnorrid.com. You'll see all of the long bio. But it starts with showing up in DFW at the University of Dallas, finished up at UTA with a master's degree in electrical engineering, worked out at nuclear power plants throughout the Texas area, mostly Comanche Peak. I did some work out in Mineral Wells in Palo Pinto as well. It's my last engineering job. When my son was youngest, my oldest son was 4, I decided to start a charter school, which is a public school run by parents, because I like to do things instead of whining about them. We put together the largest startup charter school in the nation with now serving 1,500 kids every day. During that time, of course, my wife and I have had some glorious adventures. And during that time, I learned that being an attorney is not all that difficult, so I went to law school at night. I'm still think like an engineer and Army officer because that's just the way I think. You know, you don't really leave that for an attorney. Last dozen years or so, I've been fighting for freedom. You know, my vita, as you say, says go do patent law and trademarks, and that's what I do. But for the last dozen years, we started going into term limits and into stopping banning red light cameras. And then during the COVID hit, it got crazy. I was the attorney for Shelley Luther when she opened up her salon early. I was the attorney for Fort Worth ISD. In fact, all of the mask cases throughout the state are out of my office. I've been fighting for medical freedom and trying to save people's lives. I'm a civil litigator. I don't have people that die, typically, but I have people that are dying. And there's nothing that I can do to some of those people because this Texas State House has decided to protect nursing homes and hospitals that can blame anything that goes wrong on COVID. It's wrong. It's wrong. Now, lastly, the other big thing that we want to talk about is education. 60% or so of your tax dollars go to education in this state. And what they're doing is they're indoctrinating kids. We conservatives gave up on public schools probably 60 years ago at least. And the liberals have taken it and run. And even in good schools, you're going to find lots of nonsense being taught. I urge you to pick up a copy of the Parents' Bill of Rights, which we proposed. It would stop a lot of that nonsense. I'm happy to answer any further questions. And I appreciate the dinner of cookies that you guys have provided for us. Thank you very much.
Okay, next opening comment from Phil.
Good evening. My name is Phil King, and I thank you. I just want to thank you all for staying so late. I know it's a hard evening, and thanks to the church for opening this and to the Brown County Republicans for opening and organizing this for tonight. Terry and I live in Weatherford. She would be here with me tonight, but she is subbing for me at another event like this in Arlington. This Senate district now goes all the way from Brownwood through Fort Worth into Arlington and then south into Johnson County and Cleburne. My background, Terry and I was going to say we have 6 kids. We have 16 grandchildren, another one on the way. My background, I was a police officer for about 15 years, and then I went to law school, and I still have a law practice, but I really don't do a lot at it now. My son and I and a couple others have a heavy construction business, and I really enjoy that a whole lot more than practicing law. I've been in the Texas House for a number of years. I've got some cards out there, and I would encourage you to go to my website. I think you'd find that I have a very, very proven record of being able to get things done. Being from Weatherford, I understand the needs of our small communities. I also look forward to representing Fort Worth and Arlington. I'm next door to those. But we need a state senator that understands the unique things we run into in rural and ag and just smaller communities. There's a big difference between a 1A and a 2A and a 3A school district and a 6A. There's a big difference between a large metropolitan area and what we have in Brownwood and in Weatherford and areas like that. I represent Wise and Parker counties now in the Texas House. Folks, I'm here tonight really for the same reason you are. I cannot envision, I cannot imagine my kids and my grandkids growing up under the Texas, under the United States that the Joe Biden administration envisions for us. I cannot imagine that. When we look at the attacks on religious liberty, we look at the attacks on our other fundamental rights of Second Amendment, when we look at the attacks on our economic programs, on the free market, I cannot envision that. I have been a defender of those things in Austin. I know we're going to get to talk about some of the specific issues in the Q&A, but I just want you to know that I'm excited about representing Brown County. If we do anything well at all, is we get so involved in our communities, and I've already learned so much. Rick Perry was here with me yesterday, campaigning for us and endorsing us, and I already have a great love and affection for Brown County, and thank you for the warm reception that you've given us over the last few months. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, the first question is, while the divide in Texas between Republicans and Democrats is wide, the divide between rural and urban is even wider. Senate District 10 is a blend of urban and rural. How would you balance the needs to ensure that rural counties have a voice? You may go first, please. Yes, sir. Yeah. Warren.
I'm up for the challenge. I was born in Shawnee, Oklahoma, in about 6 months before Brad Pitt in the same hospital. How about that? So I know something, and we had a small farm in McLeod and a horse. I mean, I'm familiar with rural life. And in my practice, we've gotten around quite a bit. What I always tell people is beware of the tyrannical fire marshal in these rural areas. So I don't have any problem talking about that. The real struggle will be in the school districts, because school districts tend to say, we want you to be opposed to any change in Robin Hood or that plan that takes money away from us. My issue would be, well, sticking to the question, I don't think it's that difficult, but you do have to say, let's strip all of the things that make them different and focus on the things that make them the same. They all have kids that need to be educated, for example. So let's focus on that and make that as most efficient as possible. But it's not that difficult. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, same question. We may repeat it for you.
Thank you. It is a struggle. So there's 14.5%, well, there's 30 million Texans in the last census, just under 30 million. Only 14.5% of Texans now live west of the I-35 corridor. And so it is a tremendous fight, and you need good, strong leadership in the Texas Senate and the Texas House. You need good, strong leadership to make sure that we can pull those transportation dollars, those public education dollars. You have to have leadership that understands how the legislature works, how the agencies work. And I can tell you, if you go to Weatherford, if you go to Wise County, you'll see that how we have been able to work against the pressure that comes from all the legislators being located in those urban areas. I will do a great job representing Fort Worth and Arlington, but I tell you, I understand what our smaller communities need and how to get things done for them.
All right, thank you. Okay, those have been fairly general answers and great answers. Next question I've got, the next session, what top 2 priorities would you like to see passed out of the Senate? You may go first.
Thank you. The top 2 things have to be dealing with the border, and they have to be dealing with property tax. For the border, we budgeted $3 billion in this last legislative session. We are fighting our federal government at the border. We have deployed 10,000 National Guard, State Guard, Texas DPS troopers, and Texas Rangers to the border. We've installed 5,000 monitoring cameras. We have our own we have our own helicopters. We have our own gunboats that we have built. We have our own fixed-wing aircraft. We have filled up every jail there. We are battling the federal government with this, and we have to continue to. The drug onslaught, what comes across, enough fentanyl. We've seized enough fentanyl in the last year to kill every man, woman, and child in America. Our number 1 battle has to be the border. The second has to be property taxes. There's a great program I've been pushing all this last year that will be a 10-year buy-down on school property taxes, which are about 60% of your current property tax bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Same question.
Not surprisingly, we're on different, we're in the same on this. Let's talk about the border. You have to start, I always start from an engineer's perspective. Where do you want to wind up? Where you want to wind up is a border that's enforceable. And so you start with the problems that get you there. Birthright citizenship is a problem. Should be no more anchor babies in this country, and we shouldn't allow people to make fun of us or say that we're harsh if we want to end anchor babies. We're the last civilized country on the planet to allow people to come here illegally and make a citizen without actually following the law. And we shouldn't just have a bunch of stuff that watches things happen. We need to go to the border. We need to dredge. We need to create the barriers that will work. Lastly, on the property tax, it doesn't matter how you get property taxes out of people if you're going to just have them too much. My opponent voted in favor of, for example, the Texas Music Incubator Program. This is not a way that you take care of the taxes money. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we'll give each of you give them 3 minutes, please. 3 minutes for a closing comment or any kind of comment you'd like to make. And Phil, you can go first.
Well, thank you again. We got a lot of great things done in the Texas legislature this last year, and they got swallowed up. We didn't get to talk about them much because between COVID and Storm Uri and then the Democrats leaving, for months and going to Washington because they were trying to stop us from passing election reform. By the way, we now, Heritage Foundation, which is the leading think tank, conservative think tank in the United States, just came out with a study that said after the legislation that was passed in Texas and in other states last year, their study shows that Texas now has the 6th strongest election law in the nation. We've still got some more to do, but we now are 6th in the nation in the strongest law. I will tell you that I understand how to pass legislation. This last session, the only major election reform bill that passed in the regular session was mine. It was called the Zuckbucks bill. It prevents Mark Zuckerberg. He took $400 million and sent it directly to our urban areas, to the election officials, and we know how that was used in Houston and in Dallas and in other places. That law now prohibits that from ever being done again in Texas. The only major property tax cut that was passed in that entire regular session last year was mine, and it was one geared for our rural communities. It reduced the rollback taxes that we have to pay on for any of us that have ag-exempt property when we change that use. Texas is now the most pro-life state in America. Pro-life state in America. We the first major pro-life bill ever passed in Texas was a bill that I got to author and pass when the first session I came in the legislature. We are now, no state has stronger defense of the Second Amendment than the state of Texas. We're worried, as you are, that someday the Democrats may take the Texas legislature again. So last year, just to be safe, we put permanent, enforceable, statutory caps on what the legislature can spend. We limited the growth in the state government. We limited it to a combination of inflation and population growth, and we bound future legislatures in that way. I say all this to say, as Republicans, we need to be really proud of a lot of the stuff we got done last year. The changes we made in the electric power industry, the storm that just came through proved that we got a lot done, and we're on the right track for that. 3 of those 13 bills were my bills that I was able to author and pass on electricity. I say this to say that it's very important. If you want to know how we represent rural areas, we need someone that has experience in the Texas legislature. That's what I would try to bring, and I just look so forward to getting engaged in this community. Thank you.
Okay. Warren, your closing statement.
Sure. Thank you again for all the warm welcome. I think that in this race, what you have is an excellent choice. Phil and I are very similar on many of the conservative issues. It's where the economic issues that we mostly differ. But we ought to talk about, we talked about property taxes a little bit earlier. Again, it doesn't matter if you take a quart of blood from my left leg or my right leg. It's a lot of blood. Stop taking the blood. That's the problem. And so if you look at the ratings by the various scoring agencies, you'll find that Phil gets top grades on pro-life issues, and I'm with him 100% on all of those issues. But if we look at Club for Growth, it's a 64. We look at Young Conservatives of Texas, it's a 74, it's an F. The American Conservative Union, 62. This is not the performance of somebody who wants to do things the right way on economic issues. Phil voted in House Bill 1607 in the last regular session, which was passed out of the House and stopped in the Senate, that would give yet another subsidy to transmission lines. If you have windmills and solar panels, they're generally located where there's a lot of wind and solar, right? So you have a lot of a transmission line to go across there. And he wanted to let the ratepayers take care of that. It's not right to subsidize these alternative energies and then give them even more money than they deserve. They don't carry their own weight. When they do, that's great, but they shouldn't be favorably treated. Now, he wants to graduate and go to the Senate. Well, that 1607, that was passed out of the House. It didn't make it through the Senate. The Senate stopped it. So now he's going to go to the Senate, and he's going to help it get passed, continuing the error from the past. We have real issues to handle in the House and the Senate. I have been working with the laws that he has passed for the last 10 years. He passed a law, for example, and I represent a pair of people who had celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary in nursing home in November of 2019. In March of 2020, the man got COVID, they wheeled him out, and he didn't see his wife ever again. His wife was wheeled in to hold his hand as he died. And that's just the top of that mistake and that problem. And Phil King voted to protect all of the hospitals and every medical agency from any lawsuit that could be blamed on COVID. It's not right. We have serious issues. Jeff Younger's crazy ex-wife wants to turn one of their twin boys into a girl. That didn't get done. Why didn't that get done? How hard is that? Because leadership, including my friend Phil, who's third most senior in the House, did want to make it happen. I appreciate your support. We have signs in back.
Okay, put 1 minute up there, and since you were called out by name, we'll give you 1 minute for rebuttal.
Warren mentioned that nursing home bill that prevented lawsuits against nursing homes. The reason we did that was in the height of COVID, and we all know that the restrictions on nursing homes. I had a brother that was in a nursing home and ultimately died during COVID. My father died of COVID. I understand how serious that issue is, but the reason we prevented litigation against those nursing homes was because if we had not, every one of them would have shut their doors, and everyone in here who has anyone that's in a nursing home, you would have had to take them out. They would have had nowhere to go. If we had not passed that litigation protection, trial lawyers of Texas would have shut down the nursing homes in the state of Texas immediately. They would have closed their doors. That's why we passed that. On the 313, the abatements, I think tax abatements are a terrible idea. I filed legislation and almost got it passed this time to dramatically limit wind energy in the state of Texas, because that was one of the reasons we had such a problem when we had Storm Uri. The tax abatement issue is a whole different deal. I wish we had a lot of time to talk about it. Thank you. And thank you for the 1 minute.
All right, thank you. Okay, real quick before, I'm sorry? I'll give you 10 seconds because you drove a long way. How's that? But if you call him out, he's getting 5.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
You can pass good laws that would give a defense, an affirmative defense, and let them do that. You don't have to make the suit dismissible. He's working for the insurance companies.
Okay. All right, listen, here's one thing real quick. In the rep deal, Craig Carter is going to be on the ballot. We've communicated a dozen different ways trying to get a hold of him and never even got a response back. I'm just saying when you go into the ballot deal, that's what happened when there was a chance to come to talk to you guys. The second thing I want to do is give these guys a round of applause. They got here at 5:30 and they stayed here this long to speak with you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robert.
I want to issue a sincere, heartfelt thank you to each of the candidates that have taken their time to come and answer questions and give an opportunity for you to know them and know about them and find out the issues that they stand on. But I also want to thank you for being interested enough to be here and devote a night of your time to, again, get to know the candidates, share the information that you've learned with those that weren't here, be an advocate for getting out the vote. You know, after the last major election, I got a lot of calls out of pure frustration from people that says, I'm so fed up with what went on. I think the election was stolen. Whether it was or not, I heard a number of people says, I give up, I'm not voting ever again. That is a constitutional right. It has been fought for, paid for, with the ultimate sacrifice by many, many of our brothers and sisters and fathers and grandfathers. We can never, ever fail to use that constitutional right to vote. Never give up. Go, your vote counts. People say, well, we're in rural Texas. We can't outvote the liberal metro areas. Wrong. Your vote counts just as much as the vote of a liberal inner city voter. Your vote cancels their vote. It does matter. Rural Texas is the reason we are still red. You look at the I-35 corridor, and it's pretty doggone blue, all the metro areas. While we represent a small portion of the state in population, Brown County votes 86 to 87% Republican. We're proud of that. Because we vote 86 to 87% Republican, that means we have a voice. But we negate our voice if we only turn out 30 or 40% of our voting population. We have to turn out 50, 60 plus % of our eligible voters and vote red. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, encourage them to be an active voter. That is the only way we preserve our freedoms in Texas and in our nation. This time I'd like to, as we close, thank the Brown County Republican women and the Pecan Valley Republican women for their support and for their volunteerism in helping us put all of this together and helping to man all of our facilities out in the lobby. Also want to again to thank Pastor Craig Smee of the Victory Life Church for hosting this forum for us. Great facilities, really makes our job much easier, and they make us look very professional because of these facilities and their personnel supporting us. Let's give them a special round of applause. Again, I want to thank Troy Henderson for coordinating with Sheriff Vance Hill and with Chief Kading and the Early Police Department for providing our security. I want to also thank all of the candidates taking their time and their travel, particularly our senator and our House representative candidates. They've had to travel in many cases long distances, and it will be late before they get home tonight. But take the opportunity to meet them, put a face and a name together, ask your question if you have one, and gather their information, again, to be informed. Reminder on early voting. Early voting starts on February the 14th. It runs through Friday, February the 25th. The voting location is the Brown County Elections Office, which is located at 613 North Fisk. That is just about half a block north of the courthouse. If you voted before in early voting, it's the same place. The primary election, if you, for whatever reason, cannot vote early, primary election is on Tuesday, March the 1st. But I have a personal philosophy about early voting. If I vote early on the first day of early voting, if my Lord and Savior calls me home and he has other plans for me, my vote is already cast. So please take that opportunity. Thank you for attending. Thank you for getting the information here. I also have one other announcement. Is Vance Hill here? Vance, you want to talk about this just for a brief few seconds? You can say it better than I would, so I'm going to let you do it, and I think it's a worthwhile effort.
I don't know that I need the microphone. Can everybody hear me pretty good? Because I've been accused of being loudmouth. Is what we're doing, me as a sheriff of Brown County, I'm a constitutional sheriff. So next week, we are, and that means a lot to me. So next week, we're having training from a sheriff, Richard Mack, who was an Arizona sheriff, who actually sued the federal government with a couple other rural county sheriffs and won. And that suit was over the Brady bill, where they tried to get law enforcement to intervene their powers to prevent people from buying firearms or certain firearms. So that is open for the public. There's information up front if you would like to attend. There's a slight fee. It includes a lunch from Lemon's Barbecue. But come help me learn to be a better constitutional sheriff. It takes everybody to get this done. So we'd like to see y'all there. So thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call Pastor Craig Smee to the podium for our closing prayer. And I was just notified by Commissioner Kelton that Don King was not here tonight. He is uncontested, but he is our county land surveyor. He was not here tonight because he's had a heart attack. And so we want to put him in our special prayers as we close this evening and ask for God's grace.
Let's stand. And for those of you who are in the lobby, I would appreciate a moment as we turn our attention to an uncontested king and someone that doesn't need to have a debate to know who is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Amen. I just want to say that just yesterday I was honored to bury a 96-year-old woman who lived all her life here in Brownwood. And one of the things that I appreciated moving away from a country where core values are no longer at the forefront of our minds and at the forefront of people's hearts is that we still have it in this country. And I'm so proud to be able to call this now my home, from a place where we realize the value of traditional conservative values. And I just want to pray tonight that as we begin to see those values on the rise again, that we use what democratic power we have to make sure that those values survive and are perpetuated. Because trust me, you do not want to live in a country where those core conservative values are thrown away. Let us pray. Father, we thank you that you have given us the insight and the wisdom to be part of this world and at the same time not of it. That we have a duty to perform as we are part of this world. Father, give us the wisdom, give us the direction so that we can see your kingdom come and your will be done. And Father, we know that we can always turn to you. Bless the candidates with the wisdom, the intentionality, and the diligence that you call from them in Romans chapter 12, when you say to us that if we're going to lead, we lead for the people, not for ourselves. And Father, we thank you that you have given us every direction, every principle, and every law that we can wholeheartedly be obedient to see your kingdom thrive and your will be done in our county and as a result, beyond. And we pray this now in Jesus' name. And all of God's people said, amen and amen.